Hello, once again, everybody. Hello to another beautiful Saturday today and another episode of Let's Set the Tone. It's good to see everybody here that is able to make it here live, and of course, if you're catching this in post, I appreciate that as well. But hey, it's going to be a beautiful day. It looks like here in the state of Michigan. We had some frost this morning, but the good news is I think warmer weather is right on the cusp. We're almost going to have that consistent warm weather. I drove by Lowe's today and saw they had all their mulch and rocks and everything out ready to go for everybody to start those spring yard sort of things, and which is exciting, of course. I had to get up early this morning and get some blood work taken care of, so that's always fun, which meant I had to fast last night, which meant during World Makers I had to just drink water, which is also kind of boring, but you got to do what you got to do, right? So, but hey, this weekend, the last couple weeks, work-wise, has been pretty nuts for me. It's been a lot of pressure, a lot of deadlines, a lot of stress. You know, you got to find your way to decompress. I think that's the whole point of it for me, is that those time frames in the evening when me and Britt hang out, watch some TV, or I get some time to take some photographs or do content with people, it is that kind of like that sort of decompression time that kind of resets and kind of makes everything kind of worth it. It's always working to the weekend, right? So we're getting there. I just hope that in the next couple weeks, as it continues to build that pressure, it'll eventually kind of like release and things will be good. And no, that's not it's not an innuendo this time. But if you haven't catched Toy Merc specifically this week, and I'll of course talk about all the content at the end here, but there was a moment that rad broke me this week on Toy Mercs. Please go back and watch it. It's a funny episode. Hopefully Deadman gets a chance to clip that. All I'm going to say is Ninja Boot, but my God, was it worth it? And it definitely caught me off guard. So, but without further ado, I don't want to sit here and just talk. I'll ramble on for the life of me forever, but it's time to bring on our guest. Now, this is very special because we don't always get a chance to line up our time zones, but here we are with the one and only Lord of Thane. It's good to see you, my friend. Hello.
Hi, good to see you too.
So happy
Thanks
to
for
have you
having me.
here. Absolutely. Like when I appreciate that you reminded me, and because I very honestly, like I get so stacked with life and everything going on, sometimes like I don't think about things or lining stuff up, and you were actually the one that said, "Hey, if you're still interested, let's do this." And I'm like, oh man, thank you for getting a hold of me on that, because I could have potentially forgot, because I know you only got a small window here. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we're able to line this up here. And I know everybody seems to call you Angus, which I know seems like it's all right to call you that too. I go by my real name also around here too. So do you have a preference, or is it either one fine with you?
Either one is fine. Angus is good, but Angus is not even my real name either. So,
Okay, perfect. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's smart and smooth. So, but do you have? I love asking everybody this. So we got Lord of Thane. Do you have any other AKAs or nicknames that maybe people call you or that you'd like to share?
um, well, Angus is my nickname. Has been my nickname since like third grade or something like
Oh,
that.
really? Where does that stem
Yeah.
from?
Oh, that's a complicated story. Back in the days, I was born in 1973. So,
Mm,
in Germany at that time, we had three TV channels that stopped broadcasting at 10 p.m. or something like that.
yeah.
And one of them had a kids show once a week on Tuesdays. And they had a cartoon that came from England, I think, which was called Danger Mouse. It was like a
Oh yeah.
Superman kind of mouse, like a yellow suit and
Hmm.
red pants. And somehow, like kindergarten, first grade, I loved it, and everybody called me Danger Mouse. And somehow, in the Bavarian accent, that evolved into Angel, Mao Angels, and then it stuck with Angus.
Oh, that's
Which
great.
is probably because my real first name is Andreas, which was very popular at the time, and we were like I think we were 11 boys in the first grade, and six of them were Andreases. So we
Wow.
all got our nicknames. And I got Angus.
Okay.
And actually, Lord of Thane stems from Angus as well.
Really?
Um, yeah, another complicated story.
Hey, let's set the tone. If you that was a
Yeah.
perfect complicated story, go ahead and tell that if you'd like, because I'd love to hear it.
As I said, that all this was way before the internet and all that. So Angus or Angus, as it would have been translated spelled in German, wasn't a very common name. Everybody had heard about Angus Young from AC/DC, and that
Right.
was about it. And there was not even Angus beef at that time, so not even that was a thing. So I got spared all the funny comments that I heard later on.
Right.
But actually, the first Angus other than Angus Young I ever came across was in I think in high school when we read Shakespeare and we read Macbeth, and one of the guys Macbeth is conspiring together to
Angus,
kill
yeah.
the king is a guy named Angus Ock, Lord of Thane, I think, or he was Thane of something, and from that stems the Lord of Thane, and I used that when I was the brief time of about 2 years when I was into gaming. I used that, and it stuck with me on the internet. So wherever I need a nickname or a username, it was always Lord of Thane. So that's where
Oh,
Lord of Thane. It's basically a posh, educated way of saying Angus.
yeah. That's awesome. First of all, I mean, and having some roots in some Shakespeare too. That's even cooler. So wow, that was worth the tale. That was worth the tale for sure. So, awesome. Well, so you're currently in the U.S. right now,
Yeah.
and you come here a couple months throughout the time, or throughout the. I'm guessing this time zone or this time frame, right? Because the weather's probably nicest.
There's a long story to that as well.
However
But
you want to roll. This is all
I'm
about
happy
you.
to I'm happy to share that.
Yeah.
So this very same year I was born, my grandparents they had to come to the States for business reasons, like once or twice a year, and they were looking for a place to base when they were here. And just about 4 weeks after I was born, they saw this apartment, and the family that lived in there, they just had a baby and they divorced, which is a very unfortunate story. But there was a complete baby room with everything in here, like a cradle and place to change diapers. And that's what made my grandmother decide on this place rather than another place. So they bought this place with my birth. And ever since then, I've been coming here like once or twice a year.
That's
And
awesome.
now my parents are retired and they spend the winter here.
Oh,
And
do they?
what we try to do is, as tourists, they can't stay longer than 90 days.
Yeah.
So what we
Right.
always try to do is line it up with our Easter holidays so
There you
that
go.
my kids and my wife and I can come and have like 3 or 4 days with my parents. Then my parents go back home and I stay with my family. And now, yesterday, my family left because the holidays are over, and I'll stay some me time, some recharge time,
There you
another
go.
3 weeks. Yeah,
That's awesome. And so they bought this same year you were born. So have you been coming here since you were like a baby?
yeah. But
Wow.
I even beat my kids because I was born in March and I was here
Yeah.
the first time the same year, August. So I
Wow.
was 5 months, and my daughter was 6 months, and my son was 7 months when they first came here.
Wow.
So yeah,
So that's
which
crazy.
was a
So
great advantage, the hobby wise, because as I said, at that time we had 3 TV channels in Germany, while you guys already had the Saturday morning cartoons. And I grew up like at least 4 to 6 weeks a year watching that and looking forward the
oh, there
rest
you
of the
go.
year to going back here to spend my money on cool toys and to watch cool shows. And so I've seen both worlds, kind of. Yeah.
That's cool to even think like how it kind of transcended into that then too, and probably I would assume is also kind of a direct line into your hobbies as well.
Yeah,
That's pretty
definitely.
neat there. So basically, what I heard though as well is that you have carried the tradition to your family of actually having your diapers changed in two
Yeah,
countries, which is pretty unique.
yeah.
So not everybody
So
can
it,
say that.
and it still carries on because,
Yeah.
as I said, my grandparents bought the apartment. Now it belongs to my father and my aunt after my grandparents passed away. And my aunt's family is the same. So before I leave, I have the last 2 days I'll be here with my cousin who had a baby in January, and he's bringing the baby and
Oh,
his wife.
that's
So yeah,
awesome. That is pretty. That's really neat. That's really unique, and that's a
tourism.
great tale to hear. So awesome. Well, that's a great way to start the conversation here. I am gonna pause just for a minute before we dive too deep in here. I want to make sure I say hello to the chat as always. I
Great idea.
appreciate you guys being here. We're already seeing some of you out there too. First of all, hey Webb, good to see you, my friend, my Midwest brother out there. Hope you're doing well, of course. And then my better half, Brittany. Hello, hello. Good to have you in here as well too.
Good to meet you.
Already been yelling at her about bringing in my Amazon package. So, Bob, good to see you. Yeah, happy
Hey, Rob.
Saturday indeed. Appreciate that. Yeah, give that like a little bit of a good little love there. So we appreciate
That's
that.
Adam Thane.
Exactly. Howdy, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. I know we're going to talk
Brian,
about.
hi.
Yeah, we know you got a special guest I hear tomorrow too on one of my other favorite shows. Oh, there's Bob again. I'm just clicking buttons. I know. I thought, hey, Jason, good to see you. Good to
Hi,
see you, the man
Jason.
of trains. Been posting some really good stuff recently on Instagram too. If
He's
you
my
guys haven't
hero.
checked out, does great stuff, right? Abby,
Amazing.
good to see you. Hope you're feeling better. I know she's been sick.
Another one of my heroes. I wish I could
Yeah.
paint half as good as her.
Yeah, even a fraction, right? Like she
Yeah.
is she's the benchmark for us all. But we
I
keep
don't
trying.
even see the details she paints. It's like,
It's light years beyond. The one thing I remember her saying to me that always kind of resonated with me is she said layers one time, just layers. So just adding different layers. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Doesn't mean I know what I'm doing. It might not be the right layers, but hey, layers of paint. We'll figure it out. So, but good to see everybody here. Of course, we do appreciate that. Um, so clearly everybody for the most part knows that you come from Germany, and you live around the Munich area, right?
yeah.
So, and which of course, if you're somebody like me who likes good beer here and there, we all know that's a good spot for some Oktoberfest fun as well. And like you said, of course, Castle. So, what is so I imagine where you're probably at right now in the U.S. Is it more busier than kind of like where you actually typically live, or what's that like far as commerce wise and difference? Or do you live rurally back home?
Yeah. That's it's a good question because the answer is it's basically the same situation
Is it?
because my office is right in the heart of Munich, and Munich is one of the biggest towns in Germany, which doesn't compare to what you call cities. Like
Mm.
there's no skyscrapers. There's a rule that no building can be built higher than the highest church that we have there in Munich,
Oh
so
yeah,
it
I've heard
doesn't
that.
ruin the skyline. And
Yeah.
but it's like 2 million people in living there,
Right.
and I have a commute of about half an hour by train, and I live in a small village outside of Munich, and live right at the edge of the village at a field facing the woods,
Oh
which is
gosh.
basically rural. And here, uh, the, the apartment is on an island out of Miami, so I'm facing the ocean,
Oh yeah. Wow.
and it's about a half-hour commute to Miami. Um, so it's basically the same
No,
situation,
it's similar. Just
only totally different because there's the mountains and here it's the
right.
ocean. Yeah.
Right. You have to send some pics sometime your area there because that sounds beautiful. A lot of the countryside I feel like in especially Europe is super pretty to look at as well. That's awesome too. And you
It
mentioned
does.
trains too, so
It's
that's
probably true, but as always, when you have every day, you don't realize it. Like
you don't. Yeah.
I grew up even further south of Munich, right in the mountains, in a village with five houses, surrounded by mountains, and it took the tourists to tell me their actual names. I knew some of them, but I wouldn't know every peak. And then there would
Right.
be the tourists, and I just climbed the whatever, and I said, "Oh, okay, that's what it's called." Was it
You
nice?
didn't even know the name. Oh, that is funny. That's a good point though. I do feel like sometimes we take those sort of things for granted there for
For
sure.
granted, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. How Abby says that we got her all in our feels over here. Hey, we're just paying respects to the I don't know what the word I'm looking for here, but clearly one of
All
the best
you.
painters we know. Yeah, we all know you're really good at what you do. Hey, Famine, good to see you. That's right, the Menace from
I think.
Munich. He's even got you listed there too. So, you mentioned trains, which is always something that chaps my bottom. I'll be honest, because Europe clearly has really leaned into train travel, getting from here, getting from there, and there's a lot of reasons why this country still hasn't done that, and usually it's got to do with money and whoever's probably controlling the gas companies and the oil companies or whatever. But that does have to be
You,
pretty different for you because there's probably not a lot of train travel that you do over here compared to like back
yeah.
home, I'm
There's,
assuming.
well, I'm just laughing because actual train travel from like one city to the other in Germany has become the laughing stock of Europe because it's so underfunded and everything needs to be
Oh,
repaired
really?
and we are not never on time. But what is really great all over Europe is the like the city transportation systems. Like we in Munich, we have an underground rail. We have another underground rail that's not called the underground rail, but the S-Bahn. And then we have rails, the street tram that's running above ground.
Mm-hmm.
And all this is tied neatly together. And on a daily basis, I don't need a car at all. I do everything using that.
That's
I
awesome.
go everywhere, and so it's of course a thing of history because all our cities are much older, so we had very narrow streets. So we had to find a solution. Most of your cities have been built around the cars.
Mm-hmm.
So
True.
you never had any thought of making public transportation. You would have to add that in now, where you already have all the streets and everybody is used to take the car down the block. Yeah, that's something probably that baffles Europeans the most.
Mm-hmm.
For how short a distance everybody here uses the car. And you just it's just why you can walk it, you can use the
Right.
bus, you can use the
Right.
train or whatever.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. I
but
wish we
that's
had.
just because your whole infrastructure is built completely different. Yeah.
It is. It is. It.
Hey,
And
Josh. Oh no,
hey, what
Philip.
up,
So
Zilla? What up?
what
What
up?
up? Yeah, I know. That's always frustrating for me too. Is first of all, somebody who especially as a kid, was obsessed with trains. I feel like every kid kind of goes through that obsession in some way. Maybe not, but for me, I definitely had a train obsession as a kid. But like just in general, like public transportation, like like you said, like when the rise of the automobile started, it was all about like getting those roads together and prepping for that sort of thing. And we definitely missed the mark on like public transportation and those sort of things, and like definitely good rail. Or certainly wish we could ever figure that out because, like you said, like point A to point B in a short distance, like yeah, you're driving. Like why do that? Why not to, kind of grab the rail there? So I certainly wish we would definitely do that. Hey, hey, hello there. Welcome. We got some people out there.
Hey, Yayo.
Yayo, good
He's
to
from
see you.
Japan.
Oh, hey, good to have you here. Good to see you. Appreciate you popping in here to see our good buddy here. So, and we got Danny over there from Germany as well, saying hello, good evening. So,
Hey
yes, what
there.
would it be? About 6 hours?
Hallo,
Is it
guten
about six
Abend.
hours?
Yeah, 6 hours from here.
About
Yeah.
6 hours? Yeah, yeah, awesome. Yeah, yeah. Bob says he wished that we had better public transit. It's so great using trains and trams in Japan to get around. Yeah, I hear that a lot
Yeah.
too from friends that have been there too. So, someday, hopefully, keep our fingers crossed. So,
Hopefully. Yeah,
it's
but
oh, go
because you
ahead.
said you were a train boy, I wasn't at all, much to the frustration of my dad. I was a sci-fi guy from the beginning, and my dad, he used to be into trains,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was a kid, he wanted so much to get me into trains. He started building a little track system with mountains and everything. And he, for I think at least 5 or 6 years, he would secretly add on to that for months to present me on Christmas the next. Wow, look at what I've done now and how cool it is. And we have got 4 trains
Right.
running. And I would look at it for a second and then go, where's my Star Wars toy? And so no, I never caught the train virus. Also, I
Yeah.
love looking at stuff like Jason Jensen does and others do because it's
Mm-hmm.
just such amazing artistry behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Couldn't do it, huh? Yeah. I don't know what it was. I don't know. And it's funny too because like and it's almost like a full circle moment right now too because there's been this game that come out recently on the computer called something to do with Thomas the Train. It's like the
Mhm.
Shiny Time Station if you're familiar, and it's a video game where you can just play the the trains from that TV series, including Thomas, and roll
Uh-huh.
around. I'm starting to see clips and reels on Instagram about it, and it's gotten high reviews. And I'm like, man, do I really want to try and get a train game now? I'm like, I better back off, because otherwise it'd be
But
dangerous for me.
it sounds like something that could, give you a relaxing time
Yeah,
while you're not like a shooter or something.
yeah,
Um, there is a um, there's a pro one German TV channel. When they finish broadcasting like at 2 a.m. or something like that until they resume with live programming, they always just screen the view from a train running through Germany. Some
that's
train, like
awesome.
heads-on point of view, you just see the tracks and it going through some town, some villages, and that has the highest viewing rate of any program at that time of night. There must
Oh,
be
that's funny.
tens of thousands people either relaxing or being stoned, they're just sitting there. Oh,
Right. That would definitely be me, probably stoned, just going like watching it over and over. That would definitely be me. And I do find it funny out here that there's somebody out here, Jason Jensen,
gosh, your
trains,
trains are awesome.
says
I
yes,
know.
trains are awesome. You would be definitely the person that would agree with that. So you talk about
Surprise.
your family and stuff like that. Do you have a pretty large family? Like, I mean, big cousins, like big family like that, or
Uh, yes and no, because I'm an only child.
okay, so
But
you're an only child.
my grandfather was one of 12,
Hmm.
and he had 3 kids, and my aunt had kids, and she married with kids. So yeah, there's a lot of cousins, and
There you go.
also my wife is one of 3, and there's family on all that sides. So yeah,
Yeah, so big
it's
family.
pretty
Okay.
big.
So a lot of
Just
people.
I'm a
Is
loner.
it so it's a do you guys have to share the timeshare or the place here in the U.S.? Hey, rad.
Uh, yeah, well, we do have, but that's good because that we usually over like counting all the family members, we usually get to use it more than half of the year,
Great.
which makes the obvious costs it has to have an apartment here more affordable. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we share
Yeah.
that, and but
Awesome.
it's basically it's my aunt and uncle and my parents who are I think they're called gray birders here. So they my parents have a lot of friends they made here over the years,
Oh, I
and
bet.
most of them come from all over the world for the
Oh,
same
really?
reason and for the same time period, like from Canada, from
That's cool.
Argentina, from wherever. Yeah, that's some
That's
Americans as well.
that's cool. That's a lot of different people from different areas. That's awesome. I like that. Um, so little Angus there. So you mentioned earlier school. What was school like for you? Was that a time frame that you enjoyed a lot? Did you have a lot of fun back then as a kid or throughout your
Yes,
years of school?
yes, I
Yeah.
definitely. But it's you see me smiling because I have learned not to talk about my school experience back home because it is so different from what everybody else was
Yeah.
probably having.
Hmm.
Because I effortlessly exceeded in every subject, and I still kind of was cool, I think. I wasn't a nerd or anything. It just came easy.
Yeah.
It's
Came
just I
easy.
was
Okay.
interested in everything. My wife, she's probably got a point because she says I am a nerd and I might be on the spectrum because I love reading encyclopedias. Just
Hmm.
randomly open an encyclopedia, read the entry, and then go from all the cross references, reading all the cross references until you come full circle and have read everything that was in that. And
That's awesome.
um, and I just love that, and
Yeah.
I tend to remember everything. So school
Hmm.
was just I had a blast. It was like, especially like as a teenager, I was partying every night and just getting straight A's and was like, ooh, life's fun.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
nobody else in my family can relate because they all have what apparently is the regular struggle with school.
Right. Well, and I do think she says that you might be on the spectrum. I think we're all kind of on the spectrum if you want my
Yeah.
full opinion on it. But I like that too because I feel like you know, opening an encyclopedia or whatever it is, you know, just learning something. I used to have this mantra, and I don't know how well I do sticking to it these days, but try to learn something new every day, even if it's like very trivial or minuscule. Like learning something every day, I think is important. You know, so
Go
that kind of,
beyond,
you know, little
go
anything.
go go beyond your own boundaries a little
Yeah,
bit every day.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I'm trying to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that in sports. I was snowboarding a lot as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting too old for that because there the mantra would be a day where you don't fall was a day where you didn't try. So,
That
yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense. So growing up in high school, so we're only a few years apart in age, you and I, but
Mm,
in the 90s, in the mid 90s, I was like a teenager, I think right around 15, something like that. We actually had an exchange student come from
mhm.
Germany, Tibor, great fella, and got to be buddies with him, and learned a lot actually about, you know, that was really my first experience as a kid to like learn about a different place that wasn't, you know, here, right? So and he definitely always talked about you know, parties and all kinds, because he said that he always said he partied really hard, but he was still pretty good at school too. So it's funny to kind of hear that, because you know, he wasn't, I don't know if he might have been as you know, what sounds like probably smart, or maybe walked through school as easy as you had, but he did say that, you know, lots of parties, like he would spend a lot of time doing that. Is that something that, either when it come to the partying and those sort of things, was that more, do you think that's cultural, or is that more just kind of like depending on who you're hanging out with, that's how that would kind of work?
Um, it has to my observation, it has changed a lot with the younger generation,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
those Gen X's, I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
growing up in Europe, definitely had different, less um, restricted moral views,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, than you would have had in America, like with nudity, with
Right.
um, kissing, with whatever, and also drinking. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's to this day, and they're discussing it now. There's what is called accompanied drinking in Bavaria, which means that when you're 12 and your parents say it's okay, you can just
Mm-hmm.
drink.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Not no strong alcohol, but beer and wine.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's definitely a lot of affinity towards partying and alcohol and all that. Not that I'd say you don't party as well, but the parties here were, I found them sparser and more excessive on the other side. On the other hand, yeah,
Gotcha.
probably
Okay.
that's probably how to
Yeah.
frame it. Of course, it sounds horrible, and it's probably not good for you to drink at a young age. But on the other hand, by the time you're allowed to drive, you had enough experience
Mm-hmm.
to exactly know, okay, I better not drink and drive.
Right.
While
Right.
here it's the other way around. You start driving some places with 14 or
Mm-hmm.
16 and can't drink before you're 21. And I think that's the wrong way around to do those two
Mm-hmm.
experiences.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's a really honest conversation there too, and I think it depends on the person. But I do believe that the longer you restrict people from certain things and they wait to it, when they get to it, that's when they don't know how to handle it properly, right?
And they
That's how I
overdo it.
that's how
And
I
then,
resonate with what you're saying, because like,
yeah.
you know, you can have the back and forth, the agree to disagree or whatever on, you think the age 12, 14, whatever it is too old or too young or whatever. I mean, I think that's, you know, whatever. I'm
Well,
not even going to
science
dive into that,
science
but
is pretty clear about that. Your brain isn't fully evolved before you're like
right.
21, so you shouldn't do anything before you're 21. But what a
Yeah.
boring life.
what a
So,
what a boring life, right? So, you know, I definitely think there's some real perspective there, because people I know that might have been super conservative or homeschooled, or you know, didn't drink or didn't get exposed to these things, when they finally do at an age, they kind of go so crazy that they
yes.
do the things they shouldn't do, and they're the ones that are drinking and
And
driving, getting in trouble. You know what I mean? So
and
I
that's
do think
exactly what I
there's a,
meant with more excessive. Like
yeah.
when I was at university, there were I think I had like four or five, my first four or five incidents ever with people getting alcohol poisoning,
Mm-hmm.
and three of them were American and one was Canadian. So They just couldn't handle it. They were like,
Right.
"Well, you can just. I'm 19 and I can just order the
Right.
zombie and
Right.
what slow, comfortable screw against the wall or whatever,
Hmm.
and I have two of them and another one, and then I
Yeah.
just black out and go to the hospital. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
nice
Yep. No,
experience.
that's I will say that Tibor definitely. There was two things I remember that he introduced me to. It was really funny. One was chocolate covered cherries with alcohol in them, with
Hmm.
candies,
Yeah,
and then the
that's
second
addictive.
was no
That,
effects, listening to punk rock punk music for the first time like
ah,
that. No
okay.
effects. So he was big into punk, but no, those are great times. That's probably one of the reasons why for so long I've always wanted to also go to Germany, but. Um, I do want to kind of come a little bit full circle on you. Kind of mentioned it with the sci-fi, of course, and I think everybody kind of knows you well for your Star Wars love. Did that start? I'm assuming it sounded like at that pretty early age you
Yeah,
got hooked into Star Wars.
yeah.
What did that look like? Was it like right away about the time that New Hope came out? Did you see that in the theater? Was it the toys that drew you in
It
first, or?
was, of course, it was the toys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so even before I must have been 5 when the first toys hit shelves here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I had nobody had even heard of Star Wars in Germany at that time. That was the time
Oh
where we didn't
wow!
have global release dates the same day.
Right.
We had them a year and a year and a half after you because it took
Oh,
so long to synchronize, and they would evaluate if there's a market overseas at times like
right.
that.
Right.
So I hadn't heard of the movies, but I was, as I said, I loved Star Trek, the original 60s Star Trek, which was
Hell
on
yeah.
reruns at that
Still
time.
great. Still great.
It's still great. And also, you might have seen I did some customs of him and his famous Cosmoliner a couple of weeks ago. There was a show originally from Japan, but they recut it for the European, especially the German market, and they made a, at least in Germany, famous soundtrack, especially for Germany, which was called Captain Future.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
I think they had it in Canada as Captain Flam. So some people might know him as Captain Flam, but he's guy's Captain Future, and it was this space enemy adventurer guy, and I just love that. So I
Yeah.
was always into Star Wars, into space and sci-fi.
And all that. Yeah.
But in the German toy market, that consisted basically of Lego and Playmobil and wooden building blocks. So um, there was nothing. But whenever we traveled somewhere, like Italy had a lot of stuff from Japan for some reason, so I got a lot of
Really?
Gundams without knowing what they actually
Oh
were, just
wow.
because of
Okay.
the space
Yeah.
shippy vibes they gave off.
Yeah.
And coming back to how it all started, um, as I said, I must have been 5, and we were here in the apartment. And at that time, there still was the corner store on the island, and they carried toys. And we walked in there, and there was the Falcon in the box. And I don't know what I had to pull off, but I got my dad to just buy me it for no reason at all because it wasn't Christmas, it was nothing. But I just said,
Right.
this
Yeah.
is everything I ever wanted, and of course, being dumb Germans and being socialized by what's on the picture has to be in the box because that's the law. We thought we'd get like I think 3 stormtroopers, Darth Vader, Han Solo, and all the
Oh
figures
right.
with it.
Right.
And
Oh
so we
no.
go back to the apartment and I opened it and there was no figure at all. So we went back to the corner store and all they had was one single Chewbacca. So I got one Chewbacca, which I still have to this day, and the Falcon that
Yeah.
I
And
still
the
have to this
Falcon.
day,
Yeah.
and took that back home to Germany. And for over a year until we got back to, no, about half a year until my grandparents got to Miami and brought me some other figures, all I could do was sit some Playmobil figures into the Falcon plus my Chewie without knowing anything about the movie, the lore, or whatever this
Wow.
thing is. So I had to use a lot of imagination, which I think is what inspired
Yeah.
the
A
thing
lot of
that's
what you're
going on
doing.
now.
Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah. So, Man, you got. I mean, hey, that's a pretty good figure to start with, to be fair, which is Chewbacca. So I
Chewie,
mean,
yeah.
that's can't
And
beat that.
I immediately, Scylla loves that story, by the way. Hi, Scylla. Um,
Great
uh,
story.
the I immediately customized that. So my very first figure was my very first custom as well, because on the picture I didn't know anything, but on the picture on the that came with the card, which of course I kept, Chewie was holding the bowcaster like this.
Yeah.
But of course he couldn't do that. So my dad was smoking it back at that time. Everybody was smoking in the 70s and 80s,
Hmm.
and I used his lighter to heat up the elbow of Chewie
Hmm.
and bend it over so he would hold the blaster like.
So he could hold it right. Yeah. I think you even talked about that and showed that off recently on the World Makers tour, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I was on the very early Grown as Man Toys show
Yeah.
that Scylla invited me to like 4 years ago,
Wow.
and I told the story then, and he
Yeah.
enjoyed it so much he's bringing it up. Like it's like the Bantamilk story. So
Yeah, it's a great story. And that's even
by the
crazier
Dynamo.
to see because like with us over here, probably around that time, and I wasn't even I was just a little baby. I was born in '79, so. But when you walk into anywhere, everything's always, of course, a lot of toys and things like that. But to hear that, like back home from where you live most of the time, like to not have those sort of things, you would have to wait like months before you could even get these things that you just don't even know really what they were, but you knew it was sci-fi and really joined it or enjoyed
like
it is
with like
pretty
with so
crazy.
many like with so many other things that changed quickly thanks to Star Wars. Yeah,
Yeah.
the success of Star Wars and of course the Star Wars toys was something they didn't want to miss out in Europe. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
by the time The Empire Strikes Back came out, we had shelves
You had
stacked
stock
with
too.
Star Wars toys just like you, just only half a year later. And that's Palitoy in England made some stuff that you never got, like
Right.
the cardboard Death Star, which is absolutely holy grail for serious collectors. And um, and of course the world was growing together more in the 80s, and by the time I'd say Motu was out, we probably had the same stuff
Probably had the
that
same
you
stuff
had.
then too.
But
And
I was
that's
too old for toys then. I was 14 and
you were
didn't
over it
care.
already at that
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
I was lucky again in my Star Wars collecting because when they stopped with the Ewoks and the last 13 producing any more Star Wars was just when I got in the age where I thought toy collecting is ridiculous. I'm a grown up 14-year-old boy now. Um, and
Right. Right.
by the time they started producing the Power of the Force figures, I was already out of university and my first job and old enough to feel the nostalgia and the wow, I never got that figure because why didn't they have? And so I immediately started buying them again. So my gap years are the gap years of Star Wars figures, at
Yeah.
least in
That does.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
3.75. So this
Yeah.
is why I collected all the time and I have everything. So
Right.
I'm missing one playset and I'm missing of course, the Pali toy I was talking about before. But except for that, I have everything there ever was in 3.75 from any company I would claim. At least
Wow.
one version, maybe not all paint variants.
So
So yeah,
do you still have all your Kenner originals then from a kid?
yes,
Wow,
yes.
I thought so because I remember when you were doing the tour, there was a lot that was in there too that was old school Kenner as well. Okay, okay. Hey, Dead Man, good to see you.
Hey,
Good to see you, dude. Good morning to you. So you kind of maybe have answered my question a little bit on that. So you were into the Star Wars toys. Were there any other big lines before you stopped with that gap you talked about?
yes,
Was there any other toy lines that you kind
the
of dabbled
obvious,
in a little bit, or any? Did you play with
the
anything else?
the obvious, and Chocolate Balls just talked about it this day today.
Yeah.
GI Joe,
Yeah,
uh,
Joe. Okay.
because but strictly from a Star Wars point of view. Yeah, I immediately made Cobra a special Imperial force,
There
and
you
the
go.
code. of course,
Yeah.
were rebels, but they
Hmm.
finally were able to move like all the stuff that I missed. That's why I
The
customized my first
articulation.
Chewy.
Yeah.
So the articulation was great, and of course, value for money was much better
Hmm.
than with the Star Wars, and Star Wars wasn't on shelves anymore.
Right.
So I gave all that away to Empire Toy Works as a gift a couple of years ago.
Oh wow.
I my all the Joe figures I had left because I started with the very first 12 Joes. Was I got them all, and I think then up until as late as 87, so the first 4 or 5 years, I had all the Joes and
Wow.
basically all the vehicles, even the Terror Dome. Well, I
Yup.
didn't have the flag, of course, and I didn't have what was the big hovercraft. I didn't have the hovercraft either.
The hovercraft. Okay. Yup.
But
Yup.
but I had a lot of stuff, but all that except for the figures, which I had stored with the Star Wars figures. um, Everything was thrown out by my parents when I moved out for university. All I got, my father said, okay, he knows how I was as a baby already, so he agreed to keep the boxes with the Star Wars stuff until I could get them to my own place.
Get into your own place.
So all the Star Wars stuff is still there. Plus the Joes were there, but I gave them all away as a donation to Empire Toy Works.
That's nice. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So really two main ones there. And I feel like everybody, I never had the flag either, and I was not massive into GI Joes like some folks were. There was a lot of other things in that time. There was so much things in that time period. Like there was other things I
You,
think I was bigger
I
into.
can totally relate you, except you were born the same age as my cousin, who, because his father died early, more or less grew up like the brother I never had.
Yeah,
And he went through the Motu and all the
that's right.
mask as well and all
Yup,
that.
yup.
And I still I, there was a fascination for toys all my life, so I still dabbled in. I got the odd, like shamefully when we were here, I went, don't tell anyone, but I'm buying a mask vehicle because this is cool,
The
or I'm
reissue,
buying
yeah, yeah.
I forgot. Of course, I also got the first wave of Transformers, all of them, back in the days. Yeah,
That was one of the big
of
ones for
course.
me too. So
Yeah.
my
But
two outside of Star Wars was Transformers and Motu. Motu is probably my biggest as a kid until
mhm,
Ninja Turtles
I
come out
would
in
say
the
that same. I would
'80s.
claim the same for my cousin.
Yeah, yeah,
He
Motu.
was basically shoved into Star Wars because my main supply for Star Wars at the time was my grandparents traveling from Miami to Germany, and when my cousin was like 2 or 3, they said, "Okay, if we are bringing you the shuttle Tidarium, we'll also bring it for your cousin because we have to treat you
Mm,
the same." So he was here's the stuff, and he had it all. But when he was old enough, his go-to was Motu as well.
Motu, yeah, and uh, I, shuttle ship Tidarium. That is one of my favorite all time vehicles. The actual
Most
Imperial shuttles is just
beautiful design.
I love that ship. It is still I
I
got a still a box sealed version over there of one of the
well,
over there. Not the Kenner original, of course, but just it's just one of my absolute
the
favorite
re-release.
vehicles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's by the time um, the Return of the Jedi was in the movies. I already worked uh, as a ticket collector at
yeah.
our local cinema
Nice.
on the weekends and in the evenings. So to improve my pocket money. So I think I saw that movie 50 times.
Oh,
And
that's great.
the very first time those wings unfold,
I know.
it always got me,
I
like
know.
each and every single time.
I know.
It's
And
just graceful, but still menacing, and I love
right.
it.
When the Imperial shuttle flies into the Death Star right at the beginning, and you
Yeah,
see, and you know, the Emperor gets out, and you've got all the troops out there. It's just,
yeah.
yeah, it's just that's magic right there. Bob does say that he feels an unpopular opinion that the USS Flag is overrated. Maybe true to some degree. I could see that, but when you're a kid, for me, a 9 foot long ship, and I feel like I never had it. I knew it was always like I didn't even know anybody that had it, but it was like I felt like everybody knew somebody that knew
Someone who,
somebody that had
whose
it.
cousin had it. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That was always like
same.
the urban legends
I
is who had it. So
if there wouldn't be videos of it nowadays, I would say the whole thing was a scam. But
I right. And I just remember as a kid be like, when the first time I heard about it or even saw a picture of it, I mean, just even thinking sitting on a front porch and having somebody
who's
describe the size of seeing it, I'm like,
who's moving out for this?
yeah, right. Yeah,
So,
that's a whole bed that one of the kids have to give up, for that. So, but
but nevertheless, Bob, I dare to disagree just because of the insanity of it.
yeah,
Looking back from nowadays, where you hardly get any play sets at all for any toy line. Um, and you look back at the 80s where there were so many toy lines, none of them was as
yeah.
insanely, yeah,
Said
okay,
that.
that
Yeah,
maybe,
they never played it. Yeah.
but that insanely big,
Hmm.
and just over the top. It is just,
I know had I had it, I would have played with it because I know I talked about trains as also a little kid, but I was also obsessed with Top Gun the movie. So like I was obsessed with aircraft carriers. I was obsessed. My grandpa was in the Navy. He was, planes. I've always been obsessed with aircrafts of some form. So like just jets in the '80s and all that stuff. Like even now, like I still have to keep my obsession in check. Like I got a buddy that lives in Virginia by Norfolk, and he always sends me pictures of jets taking off from the bases back and forth. And he's over it. He was in the Navy too, but he sends them to me because he knows I get an absolute kick out of it. So for me, having a U.S. flag with some like fighter ships or something or planes probably would have been like,
totally,
yeah,
I can
I
totally
would have been
relate to
hooked.
that.
I would have
And
been, yeah, I would have been hooked.
for me, a decisive memory is I was 9, 1982, and the first real war I remember seeing in the news was that I think 6 Day War. Great Britain fought against the Falkland Islands,
Mm-hmm.
and they used their aircraft carriers with the Harrier bombers that
Mm-hmm.
would, just lift off. How do you call it in English? In German, it's Senkrechtstarter. They don't need a runway to take off. They just,
Right.
um, which was very sci-fi to me. And I
Yeah.
saw these,
Yes.
and I was
Yeah.
fascinated. I love
Yeah,
those.
same. And the first time I'll never forget the first time I saw a picture of the Harrier jet, and I was like, "What the hell is this? This is amazing." And I think that's probably why, and maybe this is with you too, but that's probably why my obsession with Star Wars and like the toys version. I'm a big fan of the vehicles, and mostly outside of like some walkers and things, it has to do with the ships. I'm just
Mm,
obsessed with them. I'm a big fan of like space and all that sort of stuff. So like things
definitely.
that fly in general, like it's always gonna hook me. So, um,
The
but
the the massive Star Destroyer in A New Hope. That's just like the very first shot. You see that
yeah,
already
man,
cool spaceship, tented
yeah,
4, and
yeah,
then it just gets dwarfed by this massive
right,
and this kind of, I mean, they use it all the time, but this kind of flyby also in Battlestar Galactica or whatever, that
yeah,
gets me every time. I get like,
every time.
holy cow, I want
I
to be
know.
on this thing.
And it's like, well, it's like also the first time in Empire when you see the Executor. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's dwarfing the Death Star, or yeah, it's not Death Stars. Jesus,
the
the
Star
Star
Destroyer.
Destroyers, and you're
Yeah.
like, holy shit, because the Star Destroyers are all like they look like teeth almost, and all of a sudden it's just dwarfed by this shadow. I'm like, oh my god, I actually get so bummed out in Jedi when the Executioner
The
or the
executor
Executor falls
system.
into the
Yeah.
the Death Star. I'm always so bummed
But
by
that
that.
on the other hand, I love that shot because that really gives you a perspective of
Yeah,
what
it does. How big the Death Star
size.
was. Yeah.
It doesn't even look curved, and the
Yeah,
just
yeah,
12
right. Yeah, no.
kilometer mile long thing.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I want to kind of actually do a little bit of a divert here. I actually kind of want to talk some just random some cultural things because I think this
Hmm.
stuff is really interesting and fun as well. And there's some things that you just about you also I kind of want to know too because there's some things. So for me, like, so I'm trying to think of like my background here. So there I want to say I could be wrong in I'm just throwing out a number, but I always say a quarter of me is actually German background. because the Miller family, I'm going to try and get this right. So my great, let's see, my great granddad, his grandpa, I believe it was, his grandpa, they were church builders that immigrated from Germany in about 1908, 1910
Okay.
over here. And they built churches. They come through, I'm up in Michigan, so they came through Detroit. I think they were doing this in Flint, I want to say, and then
Hmm.
bought land and property where my family still lives out in the country here, about an hour from me. All this acreage or whatever. And they were some of the first people kind of live in this little area, this
Hmm.
little rural area there. So it's always just been kind of one of those things. And I always tell everybody, like, it's my German background that makes it that I'll drink pretty much. I'll try any beer, and I don't care if it's cold or warm. I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me either way. But what's really interesting is actually the area we live in is actually very has a lot of history and background directly from Germany. We have a little town about 20 minutes from here called Frankenmuth. And
Hmm.
Frankenmuth is it's a tourist spot. I mean, clearly, we have what's called the Bavarian Inn. We have Zenders. It's this the Zender family owns these this lot of this area, and they have this food that's directly made from the old German recipes and things in that nature. So, and we have different like little areas around us called Flankenlust and Frankentrost as well too. So, but what's unique, I feel like this always comes up with Oktoberfest, is that everybody says that they're part of Oktoberfest in some way, but typically and technically, it's supposed to be the actual nobody outside of Oktoberfest can be part of Oktoberfest, right? So, however, by official proclamation of Lord Mayor Christian Ude in behalf of the German Parliament and City of Munich, in 1996, declared that the first Oktoberfest to operate outside the city with the blessing of the original Oktoberfest does take place in Frankenmuth, 20 minutes from us. I always think that's a really neat thing, because a lot of people will say, "Hey, it's Oktoberfest, come hang out,"
Hmm.
but technically, you have to have this kind of like thumbs up, I believe. So I just
Yes,
that's kind of
and
that's
there's,
neat.
to my knowledge, there's only one more in Japan,
Yeah, yeah,
but I might be mistaken.
that's
I
right.
have the
That's
official
neat.
approval
The official approval,
of
right? So
the
I've got
hometown of Oktoberfest. So
right.
yeah,
So
but
I just
yeah, go ahead.
go no, go ahead. No, continue.
No, I was just gonna say the funny thing nowadays. I know there's a huge there was a huge German influx, of course, like from every other country
Hmm.
in America, and from every other European country. But in your area, like I think in the olden days they tended to concentrate together, yeah, because they understood their languages.
Hmm.
But they would, of course, come from all parts of Germany, which at the time even probably was more area than what Germany is now, with a lot of different cultures. Nevertheless, the picture of Germany outside Germany is, I think, through due to very good touristy marketing for the last
Hmm.
200 years, it's more or less just Bavaria, and even just a small part of Bavaria, which is called Oberbayern, which would comprise Munich and the area where the crazy king built his castles.
Right.
Everybody thinks we all wear their traditional clothes and we all drink beer, and
Right,
um,
right.
it, everybody probably in Germany likes their beer, and Bavaria is very special in that we still have like the highest density of local small breweries
Hmm. Hmm.
historically. Uh, but Germany, and especially the areas where a lot of people that now claim their ancestry from Germany came from, is not Bavaria, but all of Germany. And so it's a stereotype
Yeah.
that has, but it's a friendly stereotype, so we don't complain. But
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's a good point too. And it's really interesting too when you go to somewhere like Frankenmuth as well too. It looks like a small Bavaria. I mean, the
yeah,
architecture and everything is really neat
everything.
as well
If,
too.
if,
Yeah,
if you want to, that you can find traditional other German style architecture in some places all over the world, also in America. But if you go someplace that tries to sell you their German heritage, it always looks like Bavaria.
Yeah, it
That's
does. You're right. You're
so.
right. I think even Disney in some way too. That you
Yeah,
say that. So
The Disney castle is directly inspired by one of the Crazy King's castles, the Castle Neuschwanstein, and it's basically the same thing cartoonified.
that's funny. Hey, Action, good to see you. Good to see you here. So I always like to ask too, because one of my favorite meals of the day is breakfast. What does a breakfast maybe commonly look like in Germany, or is there, I guess, a commonality in what maybe a breakfast would look like? What I guess maybe even what would you eat for breakfast?
Okay, nothing, because I do what the intermittent fasting thing, so I
Okay,
only eat like
I'm
once a day.
familiar.
But no, there's a cliche that everybody that was born after the 70s would say muesli, probably some kind of muesli. But no, culturally, the breakfast would be hearty,
Hmm.
I'd say, um, but it can vary a lot. Germany, one of our UNESCO World Heritage entries for Germany is our bread.
Hmm.
If you've never been to Germany, you have never tasted anything that we call bread. Even if you go to a German bakery here, it doesn't work because it starts with the way you grind the flour, which is different. So it starts with a different flour, so you can't get the same bread, even if you do the same techniques. And there's a million different types of breads, more than there's types of beer. And
Hmm.
you would have a loaf of bread with some cheese and maybe some ham, as a Butterbrot, as we call it, and or depending on where you are in Bavaria, you often also go and have a more hearty thing like a Leberkäse, which would be like a warm piece of meat that looks like the same ingredients that would be in a Frankfurter, only it's a loaf, and
Okay.
you can cut
Yeah.
it, and or if you go further north, it changes to different hearty things, sometimes containing potatoes as well. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I had a friend, a good friend who for work loves going to Germany. That's one of his favorite spots, and he's sent some different things similar to what you're kind of describing as well too.
Mm.
And first of all, I want to make sure if he was lying to me, but that he described he loves the breakfasts over there because he's like it's
Yeah.
a lot of times for him it was like some form of meat, maybe some cheeses, and of course like the bread that you're describing as well too, which I believe he also said was pretty amazing. Now is do I know sometimes it's done over here too. Like as far as the bread, do they do any of the bread from like or similarities to like the ales that they use, or would it be like like maybe some of the same ingredients of the wheat or the hops or something like that? Or
Yeah. No, because the the modern thing of craft beer is illegal in German, according to the traditional, what is called the
oh,
Reinheitsgebot, the laws of purity. You can
right,
only use three ingredients for your beer, and so you can't use any other grains or
gotcha.
so. But for the bread, they used all kinds of grains and all kinds of
Okay,
using them with the spelt or without the spelt, and grinding it hard or grinding it a little or
yeah.
mixing it together. And yeah,
Yeah, I think we're making people hungry out here too. I knew this was going to be a hungry segment for sure.
sorry for
Um,
that.
Well, because next up, I'm going to ask and just I guess talk about one of my favorite things. I think, and this is probably very cliche too, is I love schnitzel. Um, how many different types of schnitzel are there? Because I believe, if I remember correctly, there's different types, right? I believe the one I've probably had the most is like a veal or something like that, maybe.
So that depends on what you're actually talking about, because Schnitzel just basically is a word, is another word for cut. So
Okay.
a Schnitzel would be a special sort of cut from
Mm-hmm.
either pork or veal or maybe even beef, and basically they have in common that after you cut it very thinly, you would use a hammer to make it
Pound it.
even broader and even more thin. And then what everybody calls the schnitzel is what is actually a so-called Wiener Schnitzel, the Vienna Schnitzel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's the one that is fried with butter and gets the crust like a
Right.
chicken McNugget, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that specifically to be called a Wiener Schnitzel, it has to be veal.
It
If
has to
it's
be the veal. Okay.
if it's pork, it's only a schnitzel in the Vienna style, and you have to call it Schnitzel Vienna style. You can't call it
Oh,
Vienna Schnitzel.
see that
So
answers. I was gonna kind of ask that too because I kind of wanted to know what the Wiener Schnitzel was. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
so the Wiener Schnitzel is the schnitzel that you think of when you think of a Melanetza or whatever. And it has to be veal to be called Wiener Schnitzel. If it's not
yeah,
veal, it's a Schnitzel Wiener style. And
yeah.
then there's heaps and heaps of variations on that. You can add something to the actual cover, or you can roll it up with add cheese and ham and roll it up
Oh,
and then pan fry it. Or there's I think I could at least name 20 different styles, and that's not by
wow,
far not all there is. And
wow.
you could call them all Schnitzel,
Right.
but the thing everybody's talking about is the Wiener Schnitzel.
So that's where the breakdown is. Okay, okay. See, that was an important question for me to ask. So I appreciate you explaining that. Now the next one I'm going to talk about because again, especially the area that we live up or live around, right? And because a lot of the German influence, we have like I know we call them hot dogs now, but we have Vienna style hot dogs from one of Michigan's specific companies that is one of the best hot dogs you'll ever have. But bratwursts are real big around here as well too, which I also super love. Um, there's now when it comes to bratwurst, there's a pretty large selection of those as well too, and I know I've been to a couple of they say authentic, of course, German restaurants, and have different types of those. And I'm assuming there's a lot of different types of wurst too, right? That's kind of how that works.
Oh, that's a religion.
Yeah.
That can get people to really fight about
Yeah.
what is the best bratwurst and who's
Okay.
doing it and is your mama doing the best one. No,
Okay. Okay.
I think that's another thing where we apply to the UNESCO list of World Cultural Heritage because we have 1,000 or more distinct different kinds of sausage,
Yeah.
bratwurst and all kinds. And from the Nuremberger in Germany, which is very famous in our area, up to the Roster in Thüringen, or there's so many different uh, Würste. And
Mm.
it's just incredible. I think you could spend 2 years eating Wurst every noon and every evening and still have a different Wurst every day.
That sounds like heaven,
Um,
by the way. That
yeah,
sounds like it sounds like heaven,
and
honestly.
yeah, and basically every meatery does their own
Yeah.
style, and all traditional and
Right.
experimental, and yeah, it's a big thing actually.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Awesome. Yeah, we
that's a cliche that definitely is true.
okay.
Also, the hot dog, which I think you sometimes call the sausage of Frankfurter. We don't call it
Yep.
Frankfurter in German. It's a Wiener, like the Schnitzel
It's a
from
Wiener. Yep.
Vienna. But you mentioned Vienna before,
Hmm.
and I think we also contributed the hamburger, of course,
Yeah.
um, because the beef patty, Frikadelle in German, that's something. There's also 1,000 variations, local style variations, and apparently sailors from Hamburg introduced it to New York, and then somebody in New York came to the brilliant idea of sticking it between two buns and calling it a hamburger.
There you
Um,
go.
Europe, yeah.
That's pretty incredible. So, and around here, so again, because of sausages are pretty prevalent around here too. We also actually have a pretty large Polish in the area as well too. Some great
Yeah,
background too.
they do a
Um,
lot of good sausages as well, but
yeah, I
especially
love yeah
what we
kielbasa.
call salami, what you would call pepperonis. They have
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you like
amazing
that.
pepperonis. Yeah.
Um, so they've been getting really experimental around here with the bratwurst. There's one of them we've got is the Hawaiian one's got pineapple and teriyaki
Yes.
in it.
It's
There's
probably as
there's
good as Hawaiian pizza.
do you like Hawaiian pizza? Do you like are you a fan of the pineapple and
I, now that I made fun of it, it's almost I always have to be ashamed to admit that I do like
there's no shame.
um,
You
but
like it? It's fine.
I also like toast Hawaii. So I do
Yeah,
like the combination of
yeah.
sweet,
Sweet and
fruity stuff
savory.
and savory.
Yeah, yeah,
But of course, also having a lot of Italian clients, it's not a pizza, and
yeah.
it's an
Right,
abomination, and you could
right,
never
right,
eat it,
right,
never ever eat it.
right, right,
No,
right, right.
but
I
it's
get it.
so good.
That's yeah. I'm a big fan. I love pineapple as a fruit. Anyways, it's one of my top three favorites. But definitely with bacon, like American style, like bacon
Hmm.
and pineapple on there is pretty amazing on the pizza. But yeah, we got some crazy bratwursts around here too. It's pretty intense. But I do got to ask you a really important question. I feel like this could be one of the most important questions that I ask anybody and people in my personal life that know why this is an important question to ask. But as somebody who is from Germany, should you ever put ketchup on a bratwurst?
um, well, if you put some curry powder in the ketchup, you make a currywurst out of it, which is one of the most famous inventions and the number one snack in Germany, actually.
Yeah.
Which is basically it's everybody, of course, has their own secret recipe, but basically it's ketchup and curry powder plus whatever, and that's very famous. But on many traditional sausages, like the Nuremberg I was talking about, or the Röster I was talking about,
Hmm.
you would also be required to use the very special either mustard or horseradish
Hmm.
that is traditionally provided with that special kind of wurst. So it's I can't answer it. If you just go anywhere and buy what we call a red sausage that has no determination, you can just put ketchup on it if you want to. But if you go to a place
Oh
where they would
man.
sell a röster and you say and give me some ketchup, they would probably look for the next hanging tree. So yeah,
So there, yeah.
me, me,
See, these,
me.
yeah, the girls out there are trying to have some fun with it because I know we got some. No, so
Did
he.
what did you go
Besides,
too
he
much
didn't.
into food?
Well, no, because I had like there. So it's the American Sausage and Hot Dog Council says you are not allowed to use ketchup on hot dogs or sausages after a certain age because it's for children. And
Okay.
I know the original, at least this is what I've read, is that the original like sausages early on that were made in Germany were like usually some sort of crusted like toasted bun bread or whatever you want to say, but a lot of times I stone ground mustard or mustard or something like that. So that's the way I've always learned it, and I feel like ketchup is kind of gross anyways for the most part when it's on meats.
On a
I digress.
traditional hot dog, the way I would see it, there's you would also put some sauerkraut or something on it.
Oh yeah,
And
sauerkraut
then
for sure.
you don't need the ketchup because
No, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that doesn't
no.
work.
I just always
So,
figured it's sacrilegious to put ketchup on things
but
like that.
I personally, even if I go to the best restaurants and order a very expensive steak, I always request ketchup with it because
Oh
I
no.
love it, and I think even the best medium rare cooked steak with the best flavors
Oh no.
gets a little bit enhanced by just a little bit of ketchup. So
Oh no. Oh no. I'm gonna
yeah,
go cry. I'm gonna crash
that's
out later
that's
after hearing
just
that.
me. Sorry, but I just love it.
That's okay. That's
And
okay.
I had waiters looking at me like they
Right.
are contemplating throwing me out of the restaurant.
Right. They're ready to toss you right out. Oh boy. Okay. Well, we'll get off that subject. That's all over the place. So I do want to talk about beer. Do you drink? Do you drink beer?
No.
No. Okay.
I did, and I had not that I have a problem with alcohol in the sense that I
Right.
drank too much and now I'm sober. I just developed an actual alcohol allergy. So
What?
yeah,
Really?
and it's what happened. What happens is I drink a sip of wine or a sip of beer, and about 20 minutes later, I feel like I have the hardest hangover of all times.
Oh,
My head goes
wow.
wild. I get sick. I just can't do anything. What I've learned is that situations that socially require you to drink. When I drink constantly, I can prolong it until I stop drinking, and then I get the headache 20 minutes later. So
Wow, that
I
fast.
basically don't drink, but like once a year, there is that one situation where I do have, and then I get thoroughly pissed because I have to drink until I go to bed to avoid getting the headache. And
Wow.
so, yeah, which is
That's
really a pity because my wife still loves a good glass of wine, and I also
yeah.
enjoy wine
Same.
used to enjoy wine very much, and also having so many great vineyards all around, both where we live is further away, but every country around, they all from Austria to Italy, France, of course. There's so many good wines, and I sort of started to grow a little expertise on that. And then all of a sudden, no red wine to your steak, no
What a
Chianti, no
bummer.
Chardonnay, no nothing. And
That's a bummer.
it sucks,
Yeah, I
definitely.
do. I love wine. I drink. I like a lot of different types of alcohol, but craft beer is one of my big favorites, and I tell
Hmm.
a lot of people, since couple of my close friends know that my favorite beers to drink are like the old world style beers, like
Hmm.
Berliner Weiss,
Hmm.
Kolsch, Dunkels,
Hmm.
Marzens, of course, you know.
Hmm.
And of course, I feel like the one that doesn't get enough love sometimes is Hefeweizens as well too. Um, which, if I
That's
remember
the
correctly,
meal.
you may or may not know. Maybe I might be wrong in this. I thought this was how I knew this. Is that to be a true hef, though it's certain flowers from only a small certain area in Germany to where
The
that's
hop,
technically a true Hefeweizen. Is that correct?
the hop has to come from certain regions for that,
Right.
and
That's what I
yeah,
thought. Okay.
and the Hefe
Is it
is the
Hefen?
yeast. Hefe is the word for yeast.
Okay.
And the special thing of a good Hefeweizen is that other
Hefeweizen.
than the regular beer that would develop the alcohol in the big tank,
Mm-hmm.
the Hefeweizen would gets pumped into the bottle, and only then the yeast transforms it
That's when it
all into
transforms.
alcohol, and that's why there's so much more foam and so much
Mm-hmm.
more intensity, and
That's
it's a delicious thing,
such
yeah. But
flavor. That's the flavor. Yeah.
such
That's such.
flavor, but it's the whole meal. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
You Germany, we always say seven of those are a schnitzel. So
Okay. That's good. Okay.
there's a good punk song also that goes like that. So wir sind auch ein Schnitzel.
I love it. Okay, great. And that actually is a good spot for me. I do want to kind of also talk just briefly about music. I got to know, are you a big David Hasselhoff fan?
um, uh,
Be
yeah,
honest
well,
now.
he personally tore down the wall when he sang there. No,
Yeah, right, right.
um, honestly, I loved Knight Rider,
Me too. Oh my God, do I
and
ever?
it's ever since it's a love-hate relationship with what has become of the guy who played Michael Knight.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I don't like
Okay, just
him.
wanted to know because his music's large in your country, at least at one time, from what I
Yeah,
was.
he was large.
Yeah,
He was. I think we were his success hotspot.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
he also sang that "I've been looking for freedom" song a year after the wall fell. But it looks from looking back from now and from if you see the footage, it's as if he personally sang down the Berlin Wall.
I mean, in some universe, that's probably true, I suppose, right? So, and I know, as far as music goes, music, I know it seems like it's pretty big in your country as well, too. At least there's select bands now. I don't know if you noticed, you probably did, but I specifically, put Scorpions on the,
You noticed.
which, yeah, yeah. I don't know if you like the Scorpions. Is that a band that you enjoy at all, or just maybe a different time frame, or
I
not so much, or you like harder
At
music?
the time, I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't go back and listen to them.
Okay,
And
that's fair.
they are probably the other way around. They were much bigger abroad than they
Mm.
ever were in Germany.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like that's probably
Yeah.
how that would look. Okay. How do you feel about Rammstein?
It's very controversial.
Yeah.
I I do have to admit that there is, I have never come across any other kind of music that energizes you so much.
Mm-hmm.
The very first Rammstein songs are incredibly powerful and
Mm-hmm.
amazing, but the aesthetics and the mindset they are leaning into and pulling from and definitely playing with are nothing to be pulled off and nothing to be played with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they are definitely no go for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even though when they are played on the radio and I'm on the autobahn, I might increase my speed. Yeah, because they energize. Yeah,
Right, right. It's kind of
yeah.
kind of hard not to.
But I know they're big, and I know they
Yeah.
somehow. I mean, the whole world's mindset seemed to have shifted towards the right since I was younger, and so somehow they managed to go unfathomed. But I think if they would have tried the same stuff early 90s, um, or even in the 80s, they wouldn't have gone anywhere. They would have been
Gotcha.
canceled probably from the beginning for being too much Third Reichy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know that it's been one of those things too. Because I remember first time I heard their music, I think probably late '90s. I was like, oh my god, this is because I
Incredible.
love metal, but it's just like
Yeah.
unlike any other metal I'd ever heard. Obviously, because it's something from German, but it was also like just like sound wise, it's very atmospheric as well too. So
Incredible.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
have to give them that.
Music, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah. Are there any funny misconceptions that Americans may have about Germans that you come across?
I don't know what do you think of. So name some cliches and I'll tell you if they are or not. No, I think
Well, you did say earlier that not everybody wears the little
the
outfits,
Lederhosen.
the
Yeah,
Lederhosen.
no,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah,
you
yeah.
wouldn't because it is another thing that we lost by growing such a small world. If you walk through a German shopping district, you'll find the same shops, you'll find the
Mm-hmm.
same stuff, you'll find the same chairs, tables, tablets. People will basically look the same, just speak a different language and
Yep.
maybe 2 years behind from what's hip here. But on the other hand, then there's some stuff that's hip in Paris that won't be
Mm-hmm.
here within the next 6 months or whatever. So if you just look at them, there's probably not so much difference. I think one of the cliches that is not true is that we are not funny and that we don't know how to be funny. We are just in the. If you find somebody who's just ironic, you'll be happy. Most of us are very sarcastic, even cynical,
Mm-hmm.
and
Can't get better than
so
that.
yeah, hard.
Sarcasm's great.
Sometimes you don't even notice how much you've been made fun of. Um, while the other guy is having an inner festival,
Right,
not showing you how much he's laughing.
right.
No, but we are getting better, and they're starting to come up with a stand-up culture a little bit, and so yes, we are actually funny, but we are also the your papers are not in order guys. Definitely, yeah, we are, and that made us successful in the economy, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make for the best traveling buddies.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's fair. That's funny. That's funny. Zilla says, very tidy people, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's part of what I meant with your
Yeah.
papers are not in order, and we have a
Yeah.
plan, and
Zilla.
you have to stick to the plan. And
Right.
we made that plan a year ago, you know.
Right. Stick to it. Stick to it. Oh, we got somebody over on Twitch trying to sell us viewers. We appreciate you. No, thank you. Um,
I'll take two.
right. So you said something funny there that made me kind of laugh because that exchange student friend of mine in the '90s when we were in school, he used to call me a Wiener Schnitzel. actually. So I don't know if that was something I should be worried about or not. But he did. You said something else that resonated too, because he actually, I remember, because when he was here and we were kind of like learning, kind of the music from each other or whatever back and forth, he did kind of say that that everything in this country, it would be like 2 to 5 years later it would like translate to Germany. So they
Yeah.
it said that however that works is just like that kind of popularity things and stuff like that was just kind of a little bit behind on that. So that's interesting to hear
And
that that's still
and
kind of a thing.
and looking at, well, you probably can't say it for AI now, but looking at every other major, even social development, that's
Hmm.
still about 3 to 5 years. So
Gotcha.
the overall spectrum of where a democracy stands, if you say this is what would be considered the middle right now, um, is moving faster or is moving the same speed, but with a delay to where the exact middle would be at the
Okay,
moment,
that makes
for
sense.
example.
Okay. Is there a favorite food or a food place here in the U.S. that you always look forward to when you're over here that you can't get over there?
Yeah, two things,
Yeah.
and both of them on the opposite side of the spectrum. Um, one of them is Taco Bell. I just love I just love Taco Bell, and ever since I stumbled in my first Taco Bell 30 years or whatever ago, I said I want to be the first guy to make a Taco Bell franchise in Germany that would so blow up. But
Right.
somehow they tried sometime in the 90s. They opened three Taco Bells at like the most unplausible places you could think of, and of course they didn't work.
That didn't work.
And apparently they're just starting this year to open three new ones, and they
Try
still
again.
didn't pick the big cities. They just picked mid-sized rural cities, and I don't think it will work there.
Mm.
But well, that's the one thing.
Is that
And
okay?
I do know that there's a lot of um, cliches about Taco Bell as well, but I still love it. And on the other side of the spectrum, when I'm here in season, what I just love is the Florida stone crabs. So
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you ever had them.
I
That's
do
it's
love. I love crabs, but you said they're the stone crabs, the Florida
yeah,
stone
they're called
crabs.
stone crabs. They are in season, I think, in every month that doesn't or does have an R. Yeah, because they are now March, April. So every month that has an R, you
Mm-hmm.
can have them. Every month that doesn't have an R, like June, July, August, you can't have them in May. Um, and the special thing is you really only eat the claw, and it grows back. And so they farm them, take them out, just cut the claw, and it only grows big on the males as well, I think, and only the one, I think. And so he doesn't have a chance with the ladies for the next couple of years, but it will grow back,
Right. Ready to grow back. Okay.
and so you can harvest it a couple of times from the same crab, both more or less, and they go by the pound. And we just went down to Florida City because there's you can buy them fresh at the harbor, and that's the cheapest place you
Mm,
can get them. And
okay.
still, to just if you want to have a whole meal just of Florida stone crabs, it'll be like at the harbor $50 per person. And if you do it, oh sorry, if you do it in the restaurant here in Miami somewhere, you'll end up with easily 100 per person to
Wow. Wow. Wow.
get
Wow.
it
Yeah.
out of.
Seafood's not cheap, and that's definitely one of
No, and
my
that's
favorites
definitely
for
one of
sure.
the most expensive. So um,
You're right.
there's
Different
a
ends of the spectrum. I see. I get it now. I
yeah,
get
and
it.
there's another place right here at the um, it is called Monty's Raw Bar. They have a happy hour every day, and you can have oysters, shrimps,
Oh wow.
lobster, and stone crabs, and everything is like I think $1 a piece or something. Only the stone crabs are like $7, the small ones, and $9 the big ones. So that's how much more expensive than all the other
Yeah. Wow.
stuff it is.
Specialty seafood like that. Yeah. And that can be like that. Do you? Is that a place you like to go to?
Yes.
Yeah, I
My
bet. Yeah.
wife and I have been going there for 30 years now, and we
Yeah.
go there
Awesome.
at least. What's going on?
So you love seafood, I'm assuming then.
I do.
Yeah, same, same. Yeah,
I
big
do.
fan. Zilla asks, is it true that they don't sell Pop Tarts in Germany?
Yes.
He's,
But it's
that's his
not
number one food. That's
it's not because it's illegal. It's just because probably they are not healthy enough. No,
yeah,
we just don't have them. I no.
yeah. And honestly,
We They tried it at McDonald's for a while as a dessert, but they don't have it anymore. So I think
wow,
German audience doesn't like it.
Zilla wouldn't be able to live. That's all he eats, but mostly is Pop Tarts. He lives on Pop Tarts. So we
All
you
right.
can't go over there. Sorry, buddy, you can't go. If I ever go, you can't go with me. So sorry, I want to tell you. Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you walking me through some of those sort of things. I like I said, I told you before we started, two places I want to travel in the world, and Germany's in that top spot. So, and it's partly because of my, familial background, and also just kind of where I grew up with a lot of the, different types of traditions and that kind of culture. I do enjoy it a lot. So I appreciate you taking a little time out from that. But I do kind of want to spin back around a little bit back to you and your world building and your Star Wars and creativity and stuff. And I'm gonna hit you with the question. I feel like it's probably one of the hardest questions to ask any Star Wars fan, and generally, I feel like. But what are your favorite 3 Star Wars characters?
Oh, characters now. I was prepared for what are your favorite movies. Um,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's been controversial around here lately, but yeah, that
yeah,
might
I
come up.
know. I've heard, but
I'll ask you the
well,
question. I will ask you that question. Don't worry.
well, even with his own show being as it is,
Hmm.
my favorite character always was Boba Fett
Yeah,
and will always be Boba Fett,
same.
probably.
Absolutely.
Um, number two, that's is probably a thing that would number 2 and 3 will probably change with the form of day. Uh, but I'd say high up there is Thrawn, but the Thrawn from the original
The books.
um, books, yes, and
Good one.
a little bit as he's depicted in Rebels, which, by the way, is a fantastic show.
Hmm. My favorite
And
Star Wars actually is the Rebels now content.
yeah, it's very high up there, but my favorite is definitely the Endor show, just because
Oh God,
it's so
yeah,
important, and we will probably not have anything like it again.
you're
But
probably right.
my third favorite character, um, I- Darth Vader. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I always had a, I always liked the bad guys, the like the really bad guys in any franchise, and Darth
Same.
Vader is the bad guy. He's
Hmm.
like what he inspired nightmares, and that's just so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's why one of the most iconic, if debatably most iconic villain of all time.
yeah,
I don't even know who could even come close to an immediate to me like. Just trying to throw. I mean, you could throw out the usuals from that time period, the Megatrons, the Skeletors, or whatever. But Darth Vader's still Darth Vader. You don't even have to be into Star Wars to know who Darth
who Darth
Vader
Vader
is.
is.
You see
Yeah,
Darth Vader, you even see a red lightsaber, you immediately first, and I think
yeah,
Darth Vader
well,
right away, right?
definitely.
So
Yeah,
yeah, but
and
that's a great top 3.
I mean the famous. I don't know. If, well, in Germany, world famous picture of Ronald Reagan wearing the Darth Vader hat, and when
Hmm.
he was trying to do the Star Wars, that was I think it was just a German news magazine that had the cover, but that's that was used so often in demonstrations after that, and it just goes to show how much influence the whole Star Wars thing, and especially Vader, had
Yeah,
culturally. Even and I think that was a year after the release, or 2 years. Even then, it was already that big.
still
And up
huge.
to
Yep.
today, you just go,
Yeah, right, right. Take your
and,
little inhaler, and you're just yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's a great top 3. I also and that's always hard for me to rank, and Boba
yeah,
Fett has been my favorite since I was a kid as well too. Matter of fact, a lot like growing up, during gaming and different things early on, I used to use similar to you, which I love your logo because you said that it was one of your kids drew that
yeah. My daughter tried.
logo. Yep, that's such a great iconic logo for us to see out there too. That and a lot of meaning behind that too. Is I used to use like Boba Fett in a lot of my like profile
Hmm.
pictures or whatever, this, that, and the other. And honestly, because I'm the same way. I'm a big fan of the bad guys in a lot of different medias and stuff like that too. And it really the only time it's changed in Star Wars for me, honestly, is because of Ahsoka. Like
Hmm.
it took that character to grow through Clone Wars into Rebels and even beyond in some ways, for me to like really truly find like a good guy in Star Wars that I really just really appreciated and really resonated, really liked. I everybody loves Obi-Wan. You kind of have to, I feel like, but I know a lot of people gravitate towards Luke Skywalker, but it was never like that for me. It was always more about Vader or Boba Fett. But and
Another
there's some
big,
great EU
another
characters. So
another big one that I would
it is Jason.
probably tomorrow say is my number two is Quinlan Voss. So the gray Jedi, also that's also something
Yeah.
my Lord of Thane Fallen Jedi, and that
Mm-hmm.
Fallen is a reference to the gray Jedi, I
Mm-hmm.
think the gray way would be the way to go forward and would
I
be
would
the
agree.
way, yeah. But
I agree.
well,
I agree with that. I wanted so much more from The Last Jedi because I was hoping it was going to lean into the Gray Jedi thing because of Rebels, partly because Rebels was
yeah,
kind of leaning that way too.
definitely.
Um, you know, yeah, I know
And
we keep,
also with Ahsoka now, the Balin
yeah,
and Shinhati, I think they are some kind of
yeah. They're
grayish Jedi,
they're walking
probably.
that line on that too, and I don't know
Yeah,
if we'll ever hear that said out loud. But I sure hope that we do. I know like some of us again like we just pay attention to a lot of all the things, because
yeah.
again comes back to Rebels for me. That really got me
Yeah,
into that
Rebels.
kind of like just so
Rebels
good.
also has a special place in my personal heart, not only because it's such a good show and it's so there was such a brilliant evolution in the
Hmm.
way it is made. It is animated. It's just the last couple of it just looks like watching a movie almost, and then carrying on into the Bad Batch as well.
Hmm.
But also my kids grew up with the Rebels show. They were the perfect age
Yeah, oh,
to
that's great. You guys can
learn about
share
Star
that.
Wars, other than there's this room you are not allowed to go into because that's my collection room, but I
Don't
can
touch it. Yeah,
don't touch
right.
anything. Um, uh, because so that was their first Star Wars thing, and at least my daughter, she caught the virus as well, and my son not so much, but my daughter loves it, and I'm
So, are you
happy.
doing what your dad did with the trains to him with the Star Wars, or no?
I tried not to.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Experience.
I tried not to force anything on them, but I always gave them the opportunity. At that time, the whole collection room thing only started with COVID. Before that, I only had the Death Star diorama,
Hmm.
and everything else was stored away. And especially for the all the clones, I don't have a really emotional connection to those
Sure.
toys. I have them all, but I don't have an emotional connection. So I readily provided them the boxes to go and play, and they would play with them, but not a lot. And
Not like that. Okay.
eventually, they just wouldn't look at them anymore. So I
That's
said, "Okay, you don't have to catch the virus." I tried, but I didn't. I didn't. Here, this is your birthday present: 10 Star
right.
Wars figures because I
Right.
love
Right.
them so much.
Right. We're trying
Yeah,
to imprint them. Okay, that's fair.
yeah.
Jason asked if you're enjoying the mall show. I personally haven't watched it yet. I don't have Disney Plus currently,
Okay,
but
I'm not saying anything then, but um, hit me
I've
up
heard
later.
good.
I say, hit me up later. I give you my password. Um, It should work. I don't know how about America, but I have about 30 people using my password at the moment,
Oh,
and
there you go. Yeah,
not a problem so far.
fair enough.
But the show is amazing.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Another step forward in animation. I'm not trying to spoil anything, or talk about what the actual plot is, but the way they're doing it with the coming going back to matte painting in a way where they would paint.
Yeah, that's been a
actual
big deal.
painting
Yeah, they actually do
on.
the actual backgrounds and the
Yeah,
stills
they
and
do the
stuff,
act
right?
on
I
some
did know
glass and
that.
then animate on that and then film the
Yes,
whole thing. It looks
that's that
wow.
good. Oh man, that's
Um,
that's
the
big.
Into the Spider-Verse 2 was a little bit like that for me as well,
Hmm.
where just from the animation style, I would
Yeah,
sit there and say, how good is this?
yeah,
How
it's beautiful.
every universe having their own style and every style just being so unique.
Hmm.
And this also feels, I've only watched it twice now, but this also feels like not only a good story, but
Yeah,
real art that manages to fool you into believing you're actually watching a live action show at some time.
man. Wow, that's a pretty good selling point right there for me to hear all that. I love Sam Witwer. I'm a huge fan because he's a big
Oh,
Star Wars fan as well too, and he's
he's
done so
amazing.
much amazing things with
Yeah.
Maul, and so really has Filoni to bring that character that was so beloved that really at one point like everybody thought was cool and then was bummed was not around and has completely turned him into like this thread that weaves through all these stories of Star Wars. He's real. It's really interesting what they've done with that character, and like even him in Rebels is like the old teacher or whatever he calls himself or old man or whatever it is, and even to the point where him and Kenobi get to clash one time and how much
Mm.
emotion, how visceral that felt, and like on an emotional level, like they've just done so much great stuff. His brother, all the stuff with Savage and everything, like it's just so like
It's a
all of it.
very cool story, but
Yeah,
I
so
think
good.
it's definitely Sam Witwer's voice acting that
Yeah, yeah,
carries it. It's
and he does
just
Palpatine too, I think, right?
so intense. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he did.
he does. I
Uh,
think
but
he
but
does
as
Palpatine.
Maul, he's just
He's yeah,
going from
it's
this soothing whisper to this absolute crazy.
yeah,
It's just
it's so good.
amazing. I
Yeah.
love it, and that's one of my personal Star Wars regret points is that we never got to see anything more from the Solo movie and
I
the
know. I wanted more.
Maul coming
I
up there with
know.
the
I
Crimson
know.
Dawn. I was like,
I wanted. I know. I know. Kiara takes off in that ship, and Maul's
yeah,
talking. I'm like, I want
here we
more of
go.
that story.
Give me two, three
Yeah,
sequels
yeah,
of that.
right, right. Well, and that's what I'm hoping with this Maul series is that
And
either it
somehow, yeah,
addresses that or they do a season to like finish that story. That's my hope. I want, and I that's because I want more of that. I was really intrigued by that.
definitely.
I'm not to derail, but Deadman did ask, seen Pop Tart ice cream sandwiches. I did, if that's really a thing, then I need to know about it, and I'm sure Zilla probably has been eating them all. So
Pop Tart, ice cream, and
yeah, yeah, that's
why not?
I don't know. I don't know. But I want them now. He loved Grey Jedi. Abby loves Grey Jedi. Had the high. Yeah, I know. And there's been a lot of weird stuff from Top Brass Disney that doesn't want to get into that because they feel it's confusing. I think to the general audiences because it's supposed to be good guy, bad guy, or whatever that is.
They
So
actually, if it wasn't for all the toxic shit out there, excuse me, I think they were on a
mm-hmm,
good path to explore a lot
mm-hmm,
of different ways where
mm-hmm,
everyone could find their favorite show.
mm-hmm.
It's
I agree.
not, in my opinion, not all Star Wars has to be for everyone
Right.
and to the liking of every Star Wars fan.
True.
So if you, I personally, I would love a David Attenborough Galactic Geographic
Oh my
show.
gosh, that would be great.
I would,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah. Yeah.
so. I don't think they would do something like that. But
That's
there's
a
so
great
many.
idea.
There's so much stuff you could explore, and just give
Right.
them the freedom and say, why can't they have a completely different point of view in this? Just look at our small planet. How many different cultures and religions and
Mm-hmm.
stuff we have on our small planet. We are talking about a fucking galaxy.
Right.
Um,
Right.
there can be everything out there, and if you don't like it, don't watch it. So
I just because well, and that David Attenborough idea, like, can you imagine how neat that'd be if they went from planet to planet, like some of the big ones, like Naboo or Tatooine or whatever, and just talking about like like exploring it, like the way they do like Planet Earth or Blue Earth and those sort of things that he
love
does, like
that.
that would be really neat. But a sci-fi, and even if David Attenborough wasn't gonna able to do that
No,
obviously, but like if it was somebody like think about if it was
in
like
that,
somebody like Sam Witwer doing that, right,
yeah,
like
exactly.
narrating that. That's a neat idea. You better holler at Disney real fast, tell them this idea. i'm
Well,
i'm, I'm into it.
one of my accounts already is Galactic Geographic. Um,
No, that's true.
so.
That's true.
check it
That's
out.
true.
And there's some flora and some fauna from some
Yeah,
Star
we're
Wars
gonna
planets up there.
we're gonna have to talk
But I
about that.
usually use that for when I do outside shots. So it's just
Okay.
this
Yeah,
is
yeah. You explore. You definitely explore. I think all the spectrums of the photography that you do, and I think
I
that's one
know,
of the
yeah.
things that makes it pretty iconic from what you do. And a lot of I think outside shots just add a different layer. It's just
They're
really
my favorite actually
yeah. I
to
bet.
do.
Yeah, yeah. Zilla does ask, how do you feel about Bad Batch in the TVC line?
Well, I feel comfortable that in my lifetime we will get them all.
Right, right, right. That's funny.
So I don't ask me why and how they're making their decisions and why we didn't get them all. And I'm not going to complain about what we got and what we didn't get and what Black Series gets and what we don't get. I'm just happy that with the new media that's coming out right now, with both the movie Mandalorian Grogu
Hmm.
um, and the Shadow Lord, we are at the point again where we actually have merchandise on shelves
Yeah,
when the stuff airs, which
yeah,
is vital, I think.
yeah.
Not wait 2 years until you get one or two characters.
Hmm.
And uh, yeah, definitely Jason. And we will never get that time, but I love when during Clone Wars you had the three main characters of a story arc in the shelves while they were airing it, and for basically any bounty hunter, any special clone,
Hmm.
anyone we would get. That was
Everything.
just I love that. We'll never get back to that, but having some
It's a
figures
good
out
start.
is a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start. Action's right. Yeah, the buy. I do like the biomes things on Disney Plus. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you the question, and because you definitely had a lot of good things to say already about the Star Wars stuff, but I'm gonna ask you the question, and I'm not gonna dive too deep on it, but because I know you love Andor, and I think we like a lot of the same ones. It sounds like too. How do you feel about the sequel trilogy?
um, not good. Um,
I think the pause is kind of telling it all, but
no.
it's your question.
Yes. Um, I can give all the talking points that have been given 100 million times. I can't understand
Hmm.
why they didn't go in there with a plan for all three movies.
Hmm.
Which is just so disrespectful or sloppy or whatever.
Sloppy is the best word I think for that. Yeah.
And there are, I think, one or two things, especially Leia space floating.
I don't think
Um,
anybody
I,
wants to die on that hill of liking that. I don't think, right?
that just blew my mind in a negative way. But as I said before, I tend to pick what I like and not complain about what I not like. And I had my Falcon before I ever had heard anything about Star Wars, so I had my head canon is not the canon anyway. So I can pick
That's fair.
nice things also from the sequels, and from a
Same.
visual point of view, there was a lot of spectacular visuals
Agreed.
and spectacular world building from a fandom point of view. That the whole story and everything doesn't really make sense, and that I can even understand the Luke thing, but not how then Luke moves within those episodes again. So um, I didn't like that, but I enjoyed myself while I was in the movie, for except for some exceptions. Um, and I especially loved a lot of the visuals of The Last Jedi.
Hmm.
Um, I do want the Palpatine on the stick as a figure, definitely. So the one on the mechanical robot arm.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, I can live with them. I wouldn't have needed them. I would rather have had the original Thrawn trilogy as sequels or something of that kind. but I'm okay with it. And especially all the efforts they are making now to make it make sense through Mandalorian and the
Right.
other media.
Everything
I
else.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy that, and tying it all together and
Mm-hmm.
trying to explain what's the Shadow Collective, how can the Empire be back, who are those guys, what
Mm-hmm.
happened, the fuck.
Mm-hmm. It helps.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, I agree. I think Bob's short answer. I
Right, yeah,
watch each of them
yeah,
once.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly. Yeah, I
yeah,
never
yeah.
went back. For completion reasons, I bought the DVDs, but I think they're still unboxed.
Yeah, yeah, I bought Force Awakens, and that tells you that. So I really didn't get physical objects through the the
Yeah,
lightsaber
that's another
out of
thing.
nowhere is
Yeah,
a little
that's uh, it's
yeah
basically some of the force abilities that I question. Yeah, I
yeah
can live with the how they communicate,
the
Ray,
yeah
and
yeah
but
the
passing objects and also what Leia did. But on the other hand, the Holdo maneuver is probably right up there with the sonic charges from episode, what was it, Phantom Menace or whatever.
mm-hmm.
One of the best visuals and effects I've
Yeah
ever seen
yeah
in a cinema.
yeah yeah. There it is. I asked you the question. There we is. So we got it out. We got it out. We're gonna leave it at that, and we definitely I
It's
feel the same.
I learned to live with the fact that it's Star Wars.
Yeah yeah. Right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you answering that one. I do want to ask, talk a little bit about, of course, your creativity and just world building in general with you. And I know you're big into 3.75, right? You don't really dabble in anything else. You still stay that classic size typically.
Mm, I I've always had an affection for all kinds of toys other than the Star Wars toys, and you can go to one of the big German toy shop chains and get physical catalogs of Lego and Playmobil and Matchbox and whatever. And I always go there every year. I've been going there every year, and I look at a
That's
lot of
awesome.
toys, and I have always restricted myself to only Star Wars just because I know what a crazy completionist I am.
Yeah.
But when they first came out with Black Series, I loved it so much I had to start. And I think I got the first 150 or so Black Series figures.
Wow. Wow.
And then I stopped because um, space and also a money
Mm-hmm.
issue. And I was just about, I think, a year or so before COVID hit, and so I had purged all those from my collection room, and I had the place to start another diorama for the 375s, and that's how I got into Instagram. Yeah.
There you go. That's
And
nice. So
I
that's
still have the Black Series figures. I probably gonna keep them as well. Maybe I'll sell
mm-hmm.
them at one point, but
Yeah.
um, so, and now with all the world building and the real customizing, I have started to buy up any figure in the 4-inch 3.75 ish line scale that I can find that I think is a reasonable price. So I'm not buying all the acid rain figures because they are amazing, but
Yeah, they really are.
as I would immediately tear them apart to make a Star Wars character. That's
mm-hmm.
not doesn't so. I did just get a few because I got this 2-pack on sale for like $40 or
Right.
45. So yeah, sometime.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, I'm strictly Star Wars, strictly 3.75, 118, four-inch.
Was pretty sure, yeah, that you're strictly in the 118 world. So, do you have? So I know, I mean, your room there is quite incredible, and if you guys have never seen what he's got going on in his room, back home, definitely check out that episode on World Makers Consortium, just about a month or two ago. It was incredible, and I think there was a couple moments where I was just like blown away just by seeing what I was seeing, if I remember correctly, when you were showing that. But do you have a name for your world? I know everybody seems to have names for it. Do you have a name, and if so, what is the name?
Yes, I do. Well, actually, it's two places. The whole the whole the main world where the I started calling it Coruscant level 1973, but now it's evolved into its own planet, and that planet or the whole system would be called Oaksmead Station, and it
There it
consists
is.
of a huge city and also which is underground, and it's like a deserty landscape above. I've got various dioramas to go with that, and that the name Oaksmead, that stems from the actual town's name close to Munich that I live in, which in German is Eichenau, which is Eichen are the oaks, and an Au would be a meadow, a mead.
Oh wow.
So that I sort of tried to Lord of Ringify the name.
Right.
So that's where Oaksmead comes from. That's Oaksmead Station.
That's awesome.
But I also have, well, I'm debating in my brain whether it'll be in just a moon circling the planet of Oaksmead Station, or if it's somewhere completely different, which it probably is because of the way the Force works there. I have what I call my planet of the Brotherhood of the Sith, which is very much inspired by the Star Wars visions, the Ronin Japanese style
So good.
animes, and I've made a pretty huge custom population for that already, and some diorama stuff. And I'm telling, I have a separate Instagram for them, the Brotherhood of the Sith, and telling a story there, or trying to tell a story there. And on that planet where they live, there's such a strong convergence of the Force that basically everybody has some kind of Force abilities to some degree.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And that's like a society of magicians, and some can do that, and some can do this better, and at the same time they are very warrior monk like society run by the Brotherhood of the Sith. So
That
I
lore. That's
enjoy
so
that a lot.
great. That's
I
so
enjoy
great.
that a lot.
That's good. That's great. Great lore. Great lore. I ask everybody on here if they world build, if you had a postcard or a flyer to bring to your system, what would be the saying or the enticing, or what would that advertisement look like?
um, I think if it would be for the planet of the Brotherhood of the Sith, it would be a very taunting "Be So come
Okay.
here and just be you.
Be you. Okay. That's pretty.
Discover what
There
force
you go.
abilities hide within you if the force is so pumped up that they just come out. Um, uh, for the rest, it's just such a big panopticon of various places from actual Star Wars lore and also my inspiration that I would just call it a galaxy far, far away. So
Okay.
yeah,
Simple.
it's
Okay.
probably fitting. Yeah.
Great. Okay. What's the build or whatever dio maybe it would be in your world that you've built that is the one you're the most proud of, or it's maybe even your favorite?
Always the next one I'm working on, but
Good answer. Good answer.
yeah, but it's very hard. I'm proud of because I made that before I knew that I wasn't the only one who does stuff like that. um, and because I put so much effort into it, and also used various techniques, actual lighting and woodwork and stuff.
Yeah, you do.
It's my huge Death Star diorama. Yeah, that
Yeah.
has the cabinet that I built that it's sitting on, and then I have the hangar bay, and I have every A New Hope set scene that takes place in the Death Star is there in basically 1/18 scale, and
Yeah.
I do love that.
Yeah, is that the one during the stream where I think all of us audibly gasp when you open up the
Yeah,
doors? Yeah,
yeah,
it's the oh my
that's the
yeah.
one.
I mean, it looked like literally you could have taken that photo for like a movie still. Like that's what it looked like when you opened that up. I think to all of us, and I was just like, I'll never forget that moment that you did that. I was like, what? Like it isn't pretty incredible. Um,
I, but I also it's all I think it's always the next project because you always improve. You look back at
mhm,
your old projects, you go, I would have done this differently now.
right.
And as we said before, if you don't fall, you haven't tried. So I also like my Lady Proximus layer very much because I
Yeah, I do like that
managed to
too.
have a working water flow
Yeah,
in there.
it is pretty cool.
And
You're right. You're right.
that
That
was
is a.
just so much fun.
I'm telling you guys
Figuring out
again,
how
you
to
got to
do
go
it.
see this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come around Oktoberfest time, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Hey, yeah, definitely, definitely. But yeah, I just that too. The fact you have a working water aspect of her, it's just yeah. A lot of things I felt like you did that were just like very next level. Like there's a lot of great people in this community, as we all know, that continue to just I think always up the ante, up the bar or whatever, and think outside the box or do this crazy stuff or whatever it is. And then some of the dioramas that I'm just from that tour that you were doing, and yeah, just some of the best stuff out there. And I think everybody would agree with that too. Like to see that, and which is interesting because like there's so many of you guys out there that are doing such great work, and it's always inspirational and things in that nature. Like just seeing that. But is there somebody out there still for you that you still see, and you're always like, man, or maybe even recently, you're like, as good as your stuff is, you're like, that's inspirational. That makes you
Constantly.
want to do more
Constantly.
constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, as I said before, I donated toys to Empire Toy Works when I first discovered him because I was so blown away by what he did. I
Yeah.
am by now a little bit annoyed by how many copycats you see. I do love everyone who does their own stuff,
Hmm.
and I'm always when I see somebody who just excels at what they are doing, like Jason or Abby or
Hmm.
Josh, Thane, all of them, I'm just blown away by the artistry and the level
Yeah.
of skill that is there.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
inspiration, I take from literally everyone and everything. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
No gatekeeping, right? That's the
no,
best part
no,
about this
both
community. No
ways, no
gatekeeping.
gatekeeping.
Hmm.
There's sometimes there's people that maybe it's their first time or they just don't have the craftsmanship, but they couple something together that is where you go, wow, that's a cool idea. I want to do something like that, and
Hmm.
or I want to try doing this, but make it look maybe better or
Right.
whatever. So yeah, that's the not no gatekeeping in all ways, in both ways, and also anybody can ask me how I did anything. I'll happily explain and give away any insights that I have. Probably point out somebody else who does it better or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's great. No.
um, and it's the amazing thing for me in my whole journey, social media wise, is how different this is from what I expected it to be. Because
Right.
um, I'm literally an old fart, and I didn't grow up with the internet, and I always wondered about people posting their lunch on social media, but I never had any social media accounts. I did nothing.
Right.
I was just mocking them and say, "What
Hmm.
are you doing?" And then I read a lot about how toxic the internet is and how bad everything is. And when the pandemic hit and the first lockdown hit, my daughter was so bored that she joined me in building the first levels of Coruscant level
Oh,
1933.
that's nice.
She worked with me on that, and when we finished the first two levels and lighting and everything was set up, and I had some um, some some figures up there, I took some pictures of it and sent it to her on WhatsApp. And say, look, this is how it looks now. That isn't it beautiful?
Hmm.
And I've always been into taking pictures of my toys and insects and macro photography, but just for me. And she then said, well, those look cool. You should post them on Instagram. I've seen stuff like that on Instagram. I said, what is Instagram? And she sent me a
What is
link.
Instagram? Okay.
So, and then I basically because my daughter told me to, and I wanted to look like I'm young and cool. I don't know now. Yeah, but I installed Instagram and I uploaded my first picture, and within, I don't know, 24 hours, I had 100 followers, and everybody was so positive, and it took off from there. It was, of course, the time where everybody was at home and everybody
Right.
was on Instagram, and where you could pick
Love
up
that time.
followers very easily. I've grown 12 followers in the last year, but I grew, I don't know, 1,000 a month in the first 3 months.
Right.
And I discovered that there's so many of us out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, and I have not once had a single negative experience in all my time with this community. I hear everybody who has more social media experience than me saying how unique this is. But for me, it's perfect. I keep telling everybody who's going, "Oh, social media is so bad and you can't do anything." I say,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's the most supportive thing I've ever met. These people
Yeah.
are all amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I think
I
that
just love that.
I think that also is specifically kind of maybe I'd say the world building community period is probably one of, at least from my experience as well, and I've only been around it like a year and a half maybe now,
Mhm.
maybe 2 years now, and I always was proxy aware of it kind of because of Zilla, right? But uh, the world building specifically has been one of the most non toxic communities I've ever been involved with, and very uplifting. And I think it's the no gatekeeping kind of thing, because I know
Mhm.
Zilla always says that, and that's always instilled in my head as well too. There's no gatekeeping, right? Everybody's trying to uplift everybody, and I do feel like it's almost like a kumbaya circle half the time. Like whether it's Into the Toy Box on Sundays, World Makers Consortium, or whoever. I know there's other folks out there that do world building and things in that nature too. Toy domination, things of that nature, and just people like that. And it's just everybody just is working together to do their own thing, but also share what everybody else is doing too. And it's a very unique community. And I think a lot of it I find more often than not, and it's not always the case. You're gonna have one offs, but it's a lot of us that have kind of past that midpoint maybe in life, that some of us are coming full circle into collecting, or that nostalgia, and it's like finding all this commonality with everybody. And I definitely think COVID was for a lot of people, that a lot of those things kind of started that, or kind of gave that mindset, hey, there's something different out there. But it really is interesting to see the worlds out there that people are connecting each other with all this content. It's very inspiring, and it's been a great experience. So
Definitely.
I like to hear that. That's definitely interesting, because you're somebody who didn't even know what Instagram was 5 or 6 years ago, or whatever it was, didn't deal with social media, and now I feel like everybody in the world building community is knows who you are, right? That's pretty neat to say that too. So, and looks probably for you for a lot of inspiration. Like I said, when you were showing your tour, I mean, some of the folks on World Makers Consortium have been doing this for a while too, and you're still making them gasp and going
But
like, oh
that's
my, that's crazy, that. So it's just
but
neat.
I
I
do
think it's
have,
neat.
looking at the individual skills. But I do have the same in my job as well. I do have imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
very heavily. Yeah,
Yeah, I get
so
it. I get it.
why it's just my meager stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
just my meager work.
Mm-hmm.
What is good about that? But that's
Right.
just me. So
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, and not just the world building, but I even like the toy photography community. I think there's a lot of people that do get that, because some folks I think are just I'm a perfectionist, so like everything that I do, I always think looks like awful. And then like I'll post a random photo of something on an Instagram, and people will comment and like it, and all of a sudden it blows up. I'm like, that was just to me that I was like, I don't even know if I should post that, right?
yeah,
So I completely relate to that too. Well, one of the last questions here before I know I appreciate your time, of course, I know, and we're going to start really kind of bringing it home here today. I know these sometimes go a little long in the tooth, but so I definitely appreciate you spending this time today. But
I'm on holiday.
appreciate that. Awesome. That's true. You are. So we're gonna be here till another couple hours. No, I'm kidding. So how did you meet the World Makers Consortium? Like, how did it get to that point? Like, or some people in the community, like, I guess, like, I know you said you had a lot of followers instantly from some of the stuff you do, and like, where did that kind of like start your pathway into like getting to know everybody in the community like that?
Hard to tell. I'd say it was definitely Josh.
Yeah,
But I
he
think
brings people together, doesn't
he
he?
brings
It's
people together.
he
Yeah,
really does.
we've been commenting on our posts.
Hmm.
We had been commenting on our posts back and forth for quite a while,
Hmm.
and then I think he just out of the blue mailed me if I or DM'd me if I would be interested in coming onto a show. It was the very early Grown as Man Toys
Yeah, yeah,
show. It was him and Real Comrade were the only ones because the others had other plans on that day, I think. And I loved the conversation and it was so much
hmm
fun. And then I started following them and following anything Scylla did. And pretty soon, then I think we all met in the chat of from Toy Domination
yeah, yeah,
and Toydom, and then they started the WMC, and I think I was guest on show 4 already. So
Oh wow. Okay.
somehow
Yeah.
I must have known them from the beginning, but I think
Yeah.
through Scylla, and pretty soon after that, not Pirates started the Wednesday,
Yeah.
and I from in the first half year or something, I was his co-host, and
That's right.
from the
That's right.
start, and um, the second as you were talking about that earlier, I wanted to mention that the weekly creeply section. Everything and anything can be an inspiration, and just a piece of junk can be the start for your next diorama, your next
Hmm.
beast of burden or whatever. And
Hmm.
that's the part I love the most about
Yeah.
the whole hobby. That you
Yeah.
just take any iota of inspiration and you never know where it ends. Yeah, you just, okay, this is a nice idea. This should be a speeder. Well, if it's a speeder, he needs somebody who rides it. If it's and then you end up with a whole workshop where the speeder is being built. And
That's
I
that.
just love that.
You're right. I feel like I've learned a lot over the last year watching Famine do his
Hmm.
streams because that guy will take, like you said,
Yeah,
it can be any random piece of anything, and he will turn it into literally something. And when you find out it's something different, you're like, that's wild.
mind
So
blowing. Yeah,
yeah, and you guys definitely aren't the only ones that do that. There's a lot of folks out there too that I feel like do that a lot too. But I just know like getting to kind of know more of the world building community. It's crazy to see that. So yeah, and I do feel like that's not the first time I've heard that now too. So it seems like so I've never really been in the toy domination circle. I think I've watched a couple of his streams, but I feel like he was definitely like a kind of like a conduit for a lot of people. Either because I know World Makers Consortium, if I remember correctly, they were inspired by that
yes.
what he was doing to
So
do
was
World Makers
Pirates
Consortium. Yeah, so
and
like he definitely
Brian. I
seems like
think
kind of like the granddad of a lot of things.
yeah,
That's pretty neat. So um, maybe I'll have
because
to.
I think it was because he seems or is so very accessible, and the way he's
Mhm.
presenting the show was very.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Josh.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say. I was gonna say that's probably the best way of saying it, Josh. Is that you're definitely a pillar in the world building community. You've been doing it for
if I
a
could, I
while
would
now.
blush.
So uh, yeah, we like that too. So well, hey, that's all the big stuff here. So I'm gonna kind of run you through the last few questions I call the Let's Set the Tone gauntlet of questions that I ask everybody. It's all a little bit of the fun ones, just kind of learn some more about you. But I appreciate already the journey that we've gone on so far today. This has been pretty great. So, turning the ship back into the shore here. So, feel like this probably is going to be an easy question, and you may have already kind of answered this anyways. But especially with you and your collecting, what was your favorite toy growing up as a kid?
um, I've come prepared in that I watched quite a few of your shows,
You did say that. I
and,
appreciate that. Yeah.
and I did give that a thought. and I gave it a thought for about 2 weeks, and I come up with a different answer every time. Um,
That happens. That happens.
um, from I would say from the emotional attachment point of view, even though it was only a very short time and it broke too fast, but I was talking about Captain Future before, which was from Japan, and in Italy they had a lot of toys from Japan, and they also had the Tommy Takara original 1978 Comet, which is the big starship Captain Future is using. And we went to Italy for a week or something, and my parents bought me that ship. I just loved it, and it was so amazing. It was basically Matchbox scale and Matchbox style in that it had
Wow.
die-cast parts and plastic
Yeah.
parts, and you could take it apart and put it back together, and then it had some spring-loaded mechanisms, and they all broke within a couple of weeks, and then you couldn't put it back together. But I just love that ship, and I have it now. I had to invest a couple of €100 to get it
To get it, yeah.
nowadays, yeah, because I just
Okay.
love it. So
I'm,
that would be very high up there, and then closely followed by my Falcon, yeah, which started it all. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Okay. Awesome. Um, what is a fictional character, or it could even be a celebrity or an inspirational figure, somebody you may have looked up to as a kid? You just like always. That's who you want to be. You know, I know some people have even said like, "Hey, Optimus Prime is the perfect example of what a hero should be," right? You know, so I can see that being a great answer. That'd be something that I would actually probably
I
answer
could,
in that sense. But is there somebody for you? And it can be, like I said,
yeah.
it can be a real person as well too.
So, well, probably there were also real persons. I always liked the David Attenborough style wildlife narrator, photographer, adventurer type of people.
Mm-hmm.
But no, to be honest, somebody I really wanted to be requires a longer answer because you probably haven't heard of him. But he's a big thing in Germany. It's called the world's longest running sci-fi series ever. It's pulp fiction, more or less, in that
Okay.
since 1951, every week they'll have a new copy of a small, I think it's got 64 pages, story part. And they are at 3,000 something number now, and it's one continuous story. And
Wow.
the series is called Perry Roden after the main character. In short, Perry Roden, I think it's very fitting with the Artemis now. Perry Roden and his crew, Reginald Bull and some others, are the first American astronauts to go to the moon. As I said, it was written in 1951, years before it actually happened. So they
Wow.
are the first to go up there, and of course they find a crashed alien spaceship with an alien on board that looks strangely a lot like a human and superior technology. And what they do is they come back to Earth, and they don't land in America. They land in the Gobi Desert and immediately span an energy shield around their starship and found their own territory. And the world is at the brink of nuclear extinction at that moment, and they
What?
force everyone into peace. And for a while, Perry Roden is a benevolent dictator until humanity has grown to a point where they actually can live together in a democracy that works. And then he transforms the whole thing into the democracy. And in the meantime, they meet superior beings out there. They travel the worlds, and by now they've not only traveled galaxies, they've traveled universes, but he met what is called super intelligent people or entities, and they provided with a technical means of staying immortal. So it's called a cell regenerator. His cells would always regenerate, and as long as he wears that,
Wow.
he doesn't age. He can be shot, can be killed, but he doesn't age. So he and the core crew, they have lived, I think, 6,000 years now, and it's one continuous story. And I enjoyed it as a kid, and I wanted to be Perry Roden. So
That's
the guy
awesome.
who brings world peace and also discovers galaxies and universes
Yeah.
and multiverses and everything. Yeah, I want to be Perry Roden.
That's quite a tale. And it's running that long, and I don't
Yeah.
believe I've ever heard or probably seen anything of it, and that's a shame. Um, and
No,
it's
it's not. It's only it's never been translated, I think, into any other
oh, okay.
languages.
That's why.
But it
That's
comes
something
with
else.
when I was a kid, the official encyclopedia had 6 volumes of this size. Now I think there are 10 or 12 volumes,
Wow.
and of course there's a Peripedia, like Wikipedia, Peripedia, that includes everything, and you can buy the construction, what do you call it? Is it drawings, the like cross-section drawings of all the spaceships they use and all the technology they use. It's a whole universe.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds incredible. Yeah, Bob, it sounds very, very cool. Like that sounds like something that would right up my alley. So
Yeah, I think
good,
it
good
would be.
answer. Good. Well, that's a good answer. You had a lot of substance there. So um, I don't even know if I can ask any of these other ones. That was such a good answer. What is your most favorite book maybe that you ever read?
The Fool on the Hill by Matt Ruff.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of Matt Ruff or even that
Mm-mm.
book, but that and maybe the Tales of the City are two of the very few books that I went back to in different ages and enjoyed them again and
Read them again.
always found something new in them. Um,
That's
other
that's
than the obvious Lord of the Rings or stuff like that, which is great and which you can read over and over again. But
over and over. Yep.
yeah, but yeah, Full on the Hill by Matt Ruff, I can only recommend that.
Okay.
Maybe you should read it first when you just leave for university. So maybe we are all a little bit too old to read it first, but it is still a good read.
Okay. That's great.
Anything by
No,
Matt Ruff is a good read anyway.
and I like how you mentioned like you learn something different every time that you read it because I feel like
Yeah,
as we age, our perspectives shift, right, or we catch different things and things in that nature. So I think there's a lot of value in that generally too. So awesome. Okay. Now what is a controversial hot take you have? Can be anything. Can be like a movie that everybody thinks is awful, but you have love for it. Could be a cartoon, whatever it is. Anything. You're gonna
I
die on the
think
hill, even if you're self-aware. You know that it's probably
I think
ridiculous.
you know already, but even the best steak is improved by a little bit of ketchup.
Oh no! I gotta shut this show down. I'm gonna have to leave. I'll see you later. Oh no! Oh,
Yes.
oh
And
God!
I will die on
Oh,
that hill.
oh, I'm gonna move right on. Okay, so the last of the. Oh, I think I just died inside a
Oh,
little bit.
he's breaking into a sweat. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Only because it's you. Only because it's you, Angus. All right. So, my favorite question though of all the questions I ask, because I am yes one of those kind of foodie people and likes to take pictures of my food. I admit, and I always have been. But last day on Earth, as we know, a big asteroid's going to come and crash into Earth tomorrow because once again, Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck didn't do their job properly, didn't separate the pieces of the asteroid. You get to choose a meal with 5 meal items and 2 drinks.
Mhm. Mm, first drink, Diet Coke.
Okay, Diet Coke is okay. There we go.
My jam.
That's
I
your
don't drink
that's your
coffee. I
vice.
don't drink anything. I just Diet Coke
Just
or
Diet Coke.
Coke Zero maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah. And as a second, as I said, I unfortunately I have that alcohol allergy, so it won't be a good wine. So my second drink of choice would be from a very specific place from my childhood where I always got it, a banana milkshake
Oh my God, that sounds incredible.
as a second drink.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Food items is uh, not easy. um, Um, I would start with, it's probably, I have to count it as I don't know how you can prepare it. Maybe you can eat a mushroom soup or whatever, but I would start with magic mushrooms. Just because I always wanted to try them and I never did, and because I was afraid I would love it too much, and if the world's ending tomorrow, I can try it today.
Perfect.
Um,
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. That's one.
so
Perfect.
that would be the one. Then I would have some Florida stone crabs as a starter,
I
like
knew you were that.
two of those
Figured that's where you're
claws
gonna come
together
in.
with the honey mustard sauce they always serve it with.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
So I'm at two.
Hmm.
Um, I would then continue with the spaghetti in shrimp wine sauce that my wife makes, which I could die for, which is just amazing. It's a
That sounds
very,
incredible.
very creamy and very savory and very spicy wine-based sauce with some shrimps and
That
you
sounds
need
amazing.
the best you take some linguine because it soaks up more of the sauce and then that's just perfect.
That
And as for the main course, I would have to cheat a little bit in that when my grandmother was still alive. In Germany, there's very big traditional feast on Christmas Day. And depending on the region you are from, there's different traditional foods that you would have to eat. And my grandmother moved from one region to the other, and she enjoyed both. So she would always, on the 24th, she'd do the one for all the family, and then the very next day, she would prepare the other one for all the
mm,
family. And I would have a mixed platter with a little bit of both of those traditional dishes, which would be the one is a it's like your Thanksgiving turkey, more or less, but it's a goose. It's a
yeah.
traditional Eastern German Weihnachtsgans goose, with traditional special Christmassy spices, and it comes together with what we call Rotkraut, which is a sort of a um, red sauerkrauty salad,
Oh,
but
that
very
sounds good.
a little bit sweet, not as sauerkrauty
Yeah.
and not as sour, and also with dumplings, hand rolled potato dumpling.
Oh my
That's the
gosh.
one. And the other one that she always made is a whole small deer. I can't struggle to find the word, but it's a
Venison?
wild venison. Yeah, probably, but it's the whole back of the venison, the whole thing
The,
on the
the back
bone.
the tenderloins maybe the back strap.
Yeah, you take the whole thing with on the bone,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you probably only eat the tenderloins of the venison, and
Yeah.
you wrap it in bacon, and it gets put in the oven, and the main thing is the sauce that you make for it, and also this is also served with the same Rotkraut, red kraut, and hand chopped Spätzle. I don't know if you ever heard of Spätzle.
No.
That's sort of mini dumplings that are from the south western part of Germany,
Wow.
and they're both very, very, very delicious meats. The goose is very fatty, the other one is very tender, and the fatty sauce and the big dumpling and the creamy, rich sauce and the Spätzles, and you also serve it with Preiselbeeren, which is our variation of cranberry. So
Good Lord.
that would be my main course. So shared those two. And I would end it with a piece of key lime pie,
Oh,
which
there
is
you go.
which is another thing that is from this area. But I would
Yeah.
specifically ask for my daughter to make it because she uses her special, very healthy vegan whatever cookies and they are just delicious. And she also manages to just get the sweet and sour
Mm-hmm.
and a perfect balance Oh, not that good.
Wow.
So that would be my very last bite on
That
earth
wow.
would be, yeah,
I would say that's debatably probably one of the best answers we've had on this for so
I
far.
do
I
love
think
eating.
they're all. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think subjectively, like everybody's got a lot of great things that they love and appreciate, and that's what makes that question so fun. But boy, oh boy, you're some of the stuff you're describing there is got me drooling a little bit. And I love key lime pie. My family has a really really good key lime pie recipe that's been in the family for a long time. And I wonder if it actually might. I think it is my great grandma Miller's
Okay.
recipe. So that means it would have come directly somewhere down probably the German background line there too. So now that it makes kind of sense now that you
Uh,
said that. I
I
didn't realize that's where it
until
originated
my
from.
daughter started to making it herself, I almost always only had it here because, of course, it's called key lime because it was
Yeah,
either invented somewhere here.
yeah.
But now that I know how it's made, I do see how very similar to traditional German uh, bake bake cakes
Hmm.
the dough and the way of making it is. Yeah, so
That's crazy.
very
I didn't
very
realize that.
very plausible that it came from somewhere in Middle Europe, and then they found the limes
Yeah.
here and said, "Well, use some lime on it," and that's how it was born.
There it is. Yeah. No, delicious. It's one of the best. There.
Yeah,
That's a, like I said, that was a great journey. You took us on a journey through that too. I appreciate that share. So, well, hey, that's all of them as you know. So, first of all, thank you so much for doing this today and being on.
thank you
This
again for
was an
having me.
absolute
Thanks
pleasure
for
to do.
listening.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this was a lot of fun. I think a lot of people already agree too. I saw some of the great comments out there. But you do such great work. You're so creative. Everybody loves seeing the things that you do. You're very inspirational. You're also very, very fun and kind too, which is a tribute to this community, I think too. But I think you definitely exude a little bit farther in some of that. As you know, your room tour just completely had me gasping the entire time. And as somebody as an adult who is sometimes teetering back and forth of where the magic is or isn't anymore with Star Wars, it's the things that like you do that kind of still remind me that that's why I also fell in love with it at a young early age. Um, but either way, I do. I know
Do
everybody appreciates you so
if
much for your
ever you
support too.
struggle,
So
if ever you, that's my only my personal opinion, but if ever you struggle,
yeah,
oh, that would have been a nice hot take as well. If ever you struggle with your love for Star Wars, go and watch just the Tusken arc of the Boba Fett show. That's the best
I
Star
love
Wars.
that arc. I do love that arc. I do
That
love that arc.
visuals are amazing, the story
Hmm.
is amazing.
Hmm.
That's just so good.
I do.
Let's not talk about the rest of the show, but that was just so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was definitely that had the most heart of that as well too. And honestly, sometimes if I need that reminder, truth be told, like I always lean into Empire Strikes Back because it's
Yes.
still my favorite film. And sometimes I'll watch a couple episodes specifically of Rebels, the two episodes where Maul and Ahsoka fight. Um, yeah, it's just something
I
about
heard
that small arc there at the end of season two. I don't.
I
It
heard you
did
say
something to
that
me as a fan.
I heard you say that on one of your previous shows, but I totally agree. For me, Empire will always be number one,
Hmm.
and closely followed by Rogue One.
Yeah,
Rogue,
same that the whole Rogue Andor and everything now
yeah,
too.
yeah.
That has definitely climbed it so high in the echelon for me. So,
I just
but
wanted to let you know because I heard that and I said, yeah,
I
I see
appreciate
that
that.
the same way.
I do appreciate that. Oop, that's my alarm. Crazy. Um, well, hey, again, appreciate so much of doing this. This has been so fun to do. For a lot of
Definitely.
different reasons. I appreciate your time so much. I want to make sure to pause here so you can promo yourself and your content where everybody can find you.
Well, basically on Instagram. I'm on LordofThane on Instagram, but you can also check out my only Toy Shot related account, Oaksmead Station. There's links in Lord of Thane. You can find the links. And I have my Lord of Thane Customs,
Hmm.
which is dedicated to customs. Surprise, surprise. And I'm also the Brotherhood of the Sith I was talking about has its own account, and Galactic Geographic (LOT) for Lord of Thane is also out there, showcasing some of the wildest beasts of the galaxy
There you go. Now, I will
and
have
my
all of
travels.
those links in this
Yeah.
and post some point today. I don't know when for sure today, but I will definitely get them. Sometimes it's the next day too, because I'm a little bit procrastinating or get my attention elsewhere. But those will all be in here. It's a lot of good stuff. Matter of fact, I think there's one at least maybe that I'm not following you. Now I think about that. I think the Sith one. I'll have to make sure I am. But I know. Shame. But I'll have all those in here for everybody as well too. And don't forget as well, you're going to be on Into the Toy Box tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Tomorrow.
Eastern with our good pals Outer Multiverse and Beta Ray Bob. So
Yeah,
make
and
sure if you're
Starboard
not.
Station is going to be there as well.
Yeah, Starboy as well too. That's I know a
So,
lot of us here enjoy the Into the Toy Box on Sundays too. So don't forget to catch you on that as well too. Having a great conversation with those guys. I'm sure that's gonna be a lot of fun. It is always great watching and catching up with that show as well. So that being said, as always, I've got housekeeping notes, and it's more than anybody wants to hear because I never shut up. So I've got a lot of things going on. So I'm going to try and speed through as best as I can. But first of all, thank you, chat, for also being here with this conversation. I try to make sure I, recognize things as much as I can. It's hard to do that when we're talking, as always. But you guys had it lively out there once again. I really appreciate that coming here and especially showing the love, to our pal Thane here. So that was awesome to see that. And if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. If you're post watching this as well too, make sure to like, comment, say something, share, whatever it is. Let's get more of Lord of Thane out there as well too. Everybody needs to see his work and be able to have this conversation. It's a lot of fun to do. As far as ketchup and the curry thing, I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out. We're gonna have to have more conversation about ketchup on meats and sausages. I gotta make peace with that, I guess, somewhere. But I'm kidding. As always, make sure to check the Basement Nexus Collective crew during the week. Of course, on Mondays, you can catch Dungeons and Dragons streaming 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Half-Ass Beer Review is doing craft beer reviews. He's getting them out more recently throughout the week periodically as well. So make sure to check them out. Give them some love. For me, as far as shows, you can catch me on Toy Mercs every Wednesday right now, 8:30 p.m. Eastern with Rad, Deadman, and Ronan. I'm telling you right now, you need to go back and watch this last week's. The Ninja Boot broke me. It broke me. I haven't had giggles like that in a minute, and you'll have to watch it to understand what the Ninja Boot is, and what it did to me. And it was unhinged
very
as always.
infectious.
Yeah, it was. Because Rad was giggling. I was in tears, literal tears from laughing so hard. It was so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. But go back, check that out, and then of course on Fridays I've been hanging out with the World Makers Consortium as we're kind of moving through the joust rounds. My character fell last night to Devastation Station, is being now eaten by the denizens of Devastation Station. So make sure to check them out. Of course, Fridays at 8 p.m. And then Monday updates from me. Every Monday on YouTube and Instagram, I put out a reel just kind of talking about the content, what's coming up, what's in the future, past or whatever. So I really appreciate anybody supporting that. And then lastly, of course, if you have any interest of being on Let's Set the Tone, holler at me, DM me on Instagram, and I'll put you on the list. I'm trying to work through folks throughout the year here, and always trying to work on my list to get people on here to have these conversations like this. And I love to be able to do that. Yeah, and thank you. I appreciate those words too, and it allows me to get to know everybody better too, and that's what's important for me. So make sure to DM that. And I should probably one last thing to say, and then we're gonna let everybody go. But Savage Saturday is here, which means the Savage Saturday crew got all their photos up this morning. I as well. Everybody nailed it again this week with the shields being the topic. There's some amazing photos in there. I'm standing as a small little building, a bunch of skyscrapers and pillars that are just overshadowing me, but it's a privilege and a pleasure to be with this crew. They're very, very friendly, and I'm having a lot of fun. So a lot of great pictures, a lot of good people to support. Get out there and check all those out on Instagram this morning. So thank you again, Lord of Thane, Angus. This has been such a great time. I appreciate you guys.
I have got something more to plug. I totally forgot about that. And maybe I have to plug it very cautiously. But Ian, Madron Station, he just reminded me, as he said, I'm not going to be back as a regular presenter probably, but I hope I'm not spoiling anything. Pirates is planning on coming back with Wednesdays, and he asked me to co-host the first show when he's coming back, and he's trying to do that while I'm still in Miami. So
there you go.
Stay tuned sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks. That could
there
be
you go.
happening.
Good. No, I'm
So,
glad you got
yeah,
that in. That's important because
yeah.
we always want to make sure we're uplifting and sharing everybody around here. So good. We'll get you back on the YouTubes here soon. So we'll be looking for that. Make sure to check that out, everybody. So thank you again, though. I hope everybody has an awesome rest of their weekend, a great Saturday, but also have a good week ahead. Hopefully it's warm where you're at and the weather's changing here, and boy, we can really use it. So I hope to see y'all real soon on the next Let's Set the Tone or any of the content coming up in the future. We appreciate you as always, everybody. Have a good day. Bye, Angus.